Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome back to Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom with Carlito and Tom. Hey guys, I have a very, very, very special guest tonight, and I mean very special because he's one of my top five favorite narrators on YouTube, according to regarding cryptid and paranormal, you know. Subjects and stuff and stories and man he's got so many stories that are so great and I just love him. I started watching him like 4 years ago when he started his channel, which is called What Lurks Beneath, and I was stuck on it, man. Like from the first episode I was just stuck on it, and I just started binge watching all his videos. I think I might have been binge watched like maybe 50 videos, when I first, saw him on YouTube. Then after that, I just kept up with all the updated videos. And man, I just can't say enough good things about this guy, man. When I met him, I was kind of like starstruck a little bit when I met him, and I couldn't believe I was talking to him, right? Because he's such a great guy. He's got great charisma. He's very eloquent. The way he narrates everything on his channel, and well, I'm gonna bring him on to have him introduce himself, of course. But you guys know him on What Lurks Beneath. His name is Josh Nanokyo, and I got him backstage ready to come on, guys. So I hope you guys enjoy the show. Okay, let me go ahead and bring him on. Hey,
What's
there he
up?
is. How you doing, Josh?
Dude, I'm happy to be alive, man. I know I say it all the time, but I tell people, my dad says, if you wake up, it's a good day.
That's right.
And
That is
I
right.
agree. I agree, man. I can't complain. It is, we've been having I wouldn't say a heat wave, but it's just been so hot. And
Yes.
today and yesterday were like 70 degrees, a little bit of overcast and wind. And I'm like, yes. So
Yes.
nice to have some cooler weather. I am ready for fall. I don't know about you all out there, but come on. Come on,
Yeah.
bring on the pumpkin spice.
Yes.
No, I don't drink that.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. I like to drink tea, iced tea. That's my favorite drink, man. Especially in this hot weather, dude. Oh, I can't drink
Iced tea,
Coke.
huh?
Yeah, I can't drink Coke or sodas or anything because of the
Yeah, yeah,
sugar and the
yeah, yeah,
heat and the gas in container in there makes you burp and oh man, just get you bloated and oh no,
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
terrible. I can't do soda. I got to drink either Gatorade or plain water or iced tea, which is my favorite, man. Yeah.
Dude, coffee, man. Dude, if it wasn't for coffee, I don't think I'd even have a third of the videos I have out now. So I have a morning cup, and then I have like it's water now, but I have like one of these, right? It's like a 24. I have those on standby, like throughout the day. It's like a drip feed caffeine thing, just to keep me, you know. Because my problem is I stay up really late and I get up early, but I
Right.
can't shut my brain down. And so my wife's always like, "You need to do melatonin." And I'm like, I know, but I'm a night owl, so I don't want to go to bed, and then I don't
Right.
want to get up. So
Right.
it's one of
Exactly.
those situations.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually have the same problem. I sleep late. I don't like to go to sleep. I just fall asleep whenever I get tired enough. And in the morning, I know I have to wake up, and I don't want to, man. I keep hitting that snooze
Yeah,
button.
it's like
But yeah, but you know what you got to do what you got to do, right? So
absolutely, buddy.
yeah, hey man, I was doing a little introduction, Josh, with everybody that's in here, and everybody saying hello as well. Also, as you
What's
can
up,
see,
everybody? Well,
yeah,
I
yeah,
actually have the YouTube thing right up next to me. What's up, Whispers? She is a big time commenter on my channel. I
yes,
did recognize her.
yes,
She's really cool.
yes,
Uh, so shout out to her. She actually has this video on her channel that's pretty funny. It's like this perfume thing. It's then we got a couple other people here I don't recognize. Aunt Rocks, what's up?
yeah,
I don't know if I know you. Steve Riley, that name sounds really familiar, but I don't know if I know who that is.
yeah,
Hellbent Holler, I've seen him in my channel. I'm not gonna
yep,
go through every single person on here, but
right, right, right,
yeah. Well,
yeah.
what's up, everybody? Hope you're all having a wonderful day.
Yeah, 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 exactly, man. No, I think they all basically know you, bro, and either from on their own finding you or me mentioning you on my previous shows and stuff. and also sharing on your content on my YouTube. I'm sorry, no, my Facebook group. Yes, sharing your content on there. I know you've seen one that I shared not too long ago. You're like, oh, that's so long time ago, like when I first started, and
Which I'm like, I remember that. I'm just trying to remember which video it was. So
yeah,
that was like the other day. Do you know who Bettina Moss is?
yeah. She's a
Yeah.
good
So,
friend.
so she shared something of mine, and she's like, YouTube sensation. What lurks beneath? And I commented, I'm like, YouTube sensation. I'm like, isn't that a little like much? Isn't that a little? Are you stretching the truth a little, Bettina? I'm like, come on, come on.
No, yeah, you know what? And it's actually funny you say that because every time she would talk to me about my show, she'd be like, "Carlito, you need to make your announcements like it's the best thing in the world that anybody's
Yeah,
gonna ever see."
yeah, yeah.
And
No,
I'm like,
she's so
like,
awesome.
yeah, she likes to do that, but I'm like, that's just not me, B.
Yeah,
So I just put it for what it is and say whatever I think, and that's it. I don't try to blow it up more than what it is.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, yeah.
Then you have. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I also invited Marvin Allen, man. I don't know if you know Marvin.
Marvin, I believe he's at the conference, right, Marvin?
I
I don't know
don't
if his
know.
response will be in real time because I'm like, I know our thing is
Yeah.
lagged, but
No,
I
I
think
really.
he was the gentleman with the big white beard, if I'm correct, and he had the crazy big
No.
documentary
You're
counter.
talking about Martin Groves. That's who you're talking about. Martin Groves.
Oh,
Yeah, I know who you're
was
talking about
Marvin at the
with the
conference?
bike grip. I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't talked to him see if he did go to the conference. I'm not too sure. But the one you're talking about is Martin Groves, the gentleman with the long white beard. Yeah, I know who you're talking
Martin.
about.
I've heard Marvin's name before. I'm trying to remember where I've.
Yeah, he's got a really good YouTube channel. Actually, I started me and a good buddy of mine, Tom Cardos. We started with him like 2.5 years ago, something like that.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, on his show, and we became moderators and started, chiming in and putting our 2 cents into everything and his live shows and stuff like that. And yeah, man, he's a great narrator as well. A lot of people like the way he narrates on YouTube and his channel, which is called Dogman Encounters, True Dogman Encounters with Marvin Allen. That's what's called. And yeah, he's a great friend of mine, man, from long back in the day. And I started my show. I'm gonna say about a year and a half ago. And well, actually, me and Tom, and now Tom has his own show. So we're both kind of doing the partner brother thing. And but Marvin, I told him you were gonna be here tonight, and he said, "Oh wow, cool man, yeah, I'll be there." Because
That's cool, man.
yeah. He came out on Vic Cundiff's show quite
Hmm.
a few times. Yeah, he had like maybe 3 shows of his own, and then like 3 other shows narrating other stories from or encounters from other people that send him their encounters to him. Yeah,
That's
but yeah,
cool.
he's
Right
he's
on,
here tonight.
Martin.
Yeah, he's here tonight, man. Marvin Allen. That's his name. Yeah.
Not Martin Allen.
Not
Martin.
Martin. Marvin. Yeah.
Martin
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Martin.
Yeah. But yeah, man, he's on here. He's like, "Hey, what's up? What lurks beneath?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's cool, man."
What
But
up, Martin?
yeah. So, man, I mean, I don't know. I just can't say enough good things about you. Like I was saying on my intro, um, that I just want to get this out there real quick, Josh. That I've been listening to you for, man, 4 years, bro. Like since you started your show. I'm gonna say like maybe a couple months after you started or whatever. That's when I found you, and I started binge watching all your shows and stuff, man. I mean, I'm such a big, fan, follower, subscriber, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. Because there's a lot of people out there, with their cryptid channels and their, story, whatever, whether it be creepypasta or
Sure,
storytelling or
sure.
whatever. But not everybody has that, that charisma that you have and that very well spoken, narrating skills, bro. I mean, and then your voice on top of that. I thought, you know what? I honestly, when I first started hearing you, I said he's using a voice synthesizer or a voice changer or something. You know what I mean? Because your voice was so cool, man. And then I remember I went on one of your lives and I asked you, I said, "Hey, do you use a voice synthesizer?" And you didn't know who I was or anything, but you just answered me like, "No, but it's all me. It's all natural." I'm like, "Okay, cool." But I was like, "Wow, man, that is his voice." You know, I was thinking it was like a voice synthesizer or something, man, because your voice is so
Nah.
low, raspy, creepy in a way. But you know what I mean? It just all falls in together perfectly, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because over time the WLB voice evolved. So when I first started doing it, I worked a full time job at the time, so like I didn't really care. I was just like, yeah, like so the guy goes to his house and blah. But over time, it kind of started to come down here, and then
Yeah.
then I
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
the dictation and the flow started to
Yes.
slow down.
Yes.
He
Yes.
was
Exactly.
terrified. Like it's like, oh,
Yeah.
it started to
Yeah.
get like the mood.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny, but all those little things is what makes up the charisma for people to get in your encounter. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's like it's like Marvin Allen. The way he tells his stories, he gets you really into the encounters, right? So when it's yours is about the same, but just in a different voice. But the way your intonation kind of goes up and down and then up again and then down and it gets you like into the story, like if as if you were there really, and that's what makes it so good, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because for the longest time, like I was always trying to battle like what's going to work with what, and should I have music? Should I have, because in my opinion, having something in the background like ambience or um, not even just ambience, but like music really sets the tone, And so before I started, I was really a big fan of like Dark Waters and like Swamp Dweller, and they had
Hmm.
eerie, creepy music in the background.
Yeah.
And like I'd be driving at night, I'd turn that on, I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and I'm like, I always thought to myself, I'm like, if I'm gonna do this, I gotta have that in the background. And some people are like, I hate it, but I'm like, yeah, but like, who wants to just sit there and listen to a guy be like, I saw a Dogman,
Yeah.
silence, it was creepy. It's like,
Yeah.
but some people like it though. And I over the years, I've had a lot of comments where people like just ditch the crappy music, like I can't. So it's subjective, but I'm like, that was always the thing that I'm like, that's cool. Like you add atmosphere to it, and so, and then of course, the beginning of this year, I got to a point where I was feeling like my channel was really one dimensional. I've been doing it for 3 years. I've been grinding and grinding and putting all this work in this channel and trying to do, and like it just wasn't getting to where I was wanting to go. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, so I had to really kind of go back to the drawing board and make an avatar of who my ideal viewer is and start. I started looking at guys like Mr. Ball, and I started looking at like the History Channel and a lot of
Hmm.
like big channels, see what they're doing, how they present information, and that's kind of where I just started to adapt a new style. And because I'd already been doing, I know a lot of people don't know this, but I've been doing a bunch of the YouTube channels here and there. I've been
Hmm.
on camera multiple times, so I was already comfortable. I had production equipment, I had cameras, so
Right.
I'm like, it makes sense that that would be the next new thing, And I realized that getting on camera would be a risk, and so I was like, whatever, like let's just do it. And so I did it, and it just it turned out to catch on pretty good. And the next thing you know, like it went from just a like a cryptid story narration to like now it's almost like an unsolved mysteries kind of supernatural deep dive, like a kind of a Twilight Zone mixed in, because it's like not only do I read stories, but I explore legends and folklore and unexplained mysteries in a way where I share
Right.
missing person accounts and like still cryptid stories. I've never lost and I never will, but also like deep diving into things like the Michigan Triangle or
Hmm.
strange legends that happen in Japan. And so it's taken on this whole other dimension that to me feels so much more entertaining and robust as a channel. It's got so much more meat and bones to it than just, hi, I'm what lurks beneath. It's like, okay, you know what I mean? That's
Hmm.
to me, it's more of it feels like more of an actual career now. It's a brand, and
Right.
it's kind of cool. I definitely prefer this direction. And
Right.
so to keep that, because I know a lot of people are like, yeah, that's cool and all, but I miss your old stuff. Well, that's why I kept the other two channels that I made. I'm trying to
Hmm.
keep that old style with them. So now, if you're a new viewer and you want one or each or both, you can now
Perfect.
have that. So
Perfect, perfect. Because you know what? Let me tell you something, Josh. I didn't know when you transitioned into the newer type of videos that you do now. I don't know exactly when. You kind of told me like somewhere like
January.
January, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Beginning of
yeah.
this year, right? But honestly, I mean, just this is me talking, right?
Sure.
I like the old style better, bro.
Yeah,
Like the
a lot of
old
people
what
do.
lurks beneath, yeah, what
Yeah.
lurks between, what lurks above, all those three. I'm subscribed to all three of them, but yeah, I seen you did something like where the which one was it, the above or the between that you did like all the how do you say like a compilation kind of thing,
Hmm.
like weekly compilation, right? Was it
So initially, when I made What Lurks Above, that was meant to be just a compilation channel because I know
right? There you go.
I was releasing so much content on What Lurks Beneath. I was like, how am I going to create content in a way that people can go back and see all this old stuff? So I'm like, well, I'll make the second channel and just make it so that way it's all, compilative so that people can go back and watch it. And then I was going to do the same thing with What Lurks Between, but do something else. And I can't really remember because
Mm-hmm.
people would always ask me, why do you have three separate channels? And I
Mm-hmm.
tried to explain it. And then they kind of like evolved in roles over time. And then at one point, YouTube got really mad with What Lurks Between, and they made me delete all the content. Yeah,
Really?
because they're like, well, they basically told me that I got penalized for reused content and that it wasn't educational. And I'm like, this is my own content, and it's still. I had to appeal a bunch of stuff, and they still were like, yeah, no. So I had to delete all the videos, and so I basically had to start over fresh. If anyone's like keeping up with that, I only have like 4 or 5 videos on it. So I'm kind
Mm-hmm.
of there's a new channel called Donovan Dredd. He's been around for probably like since May. His thumbnails and style and what he does is very similar to how What Lurks Between is. We're actually good friends in real life. We talk all the time on on Facebook Messenger and stuff. So we're always like constantly sharing like thumbnail strategies and stuff. And it's because of him. He's the reason why I started changing my thumbnails like back in May to where him and I almost had identical thumbnails. And so we were always like swapping with each other, like, what do you think? Like we work on titles together. And so
Mm-hmm.
he's really become, I'd say, a good asset as far as like grabbing attention and like creating good thumbnails and titles to really pull people in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm kind of like changing it up again on What Lurks Beneath to kind of put my face back in because I want What Lurks Between to now go that direction. And so as far as What Lurks Above, I'm trying to always juggle all three. And oh, there we go. Actually, that's a lot better.
Yeah.
Try to find out its place. And so I don't even know if that was the question. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. Hey, and also I wanted to ask you. I remember you telling me, and he also told me he knew you. I interviewed him. I'm talking about Zach from Zach Baby TV.
Yep. Yep.
We interviewed him. Me and Tom interviewed him about a year and a half ago
Yeah, he's a cool
on
cat.
this channel. Yeah, he's real cool, man, real cool. And he also has great narration skills, and he also has a great YouTube channel. Which he changed the name. I can't remember what the name is now. It used to be
It's
Zach Baby TV.
Campfire Stories, I think.
Campfire Stories. There you
I
go.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's what it is. Yeah. And well, what do you what can you tell me about him, man? I mean, are y'all good friends or?
Yeah. Unfortunately, with I have so many messages in my messenger thing that I get backlogged. I don't get a chance to respond to him enough. So,
Mm-hmm.
Zach, if you're watching, I love you, buddy. Sorry, it's getting a little backlogged here, but
Right.
yeah, we do talk, and he's always asking me like tips with YouTube and stuff like that. And I'm trying to help him get more because he's always like, I've been doing this for a while. Like, what am I doing wrong? And so I
Right.
try and help coach him as much as I can to get it. But even then, people ask me stuff, and I'm like, I don't know how I figured it out either. I mean, I wouldn't say
Mm-hmm.
it's luck, but really it was just paying attention to the analytics and just trying to. And so anyway, the extent of our relationship, like we've been friends for a long time. I think I was maybe at like 10,000 subs when him and I first started talking, and I don't remember how we connected, but we had done like a couple episodes together, like way back when,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I think he started off doing like Goosebump reviews or something. I'm trying to remember, it was something along those lines, and then he
Yeah.
kind of started getting into narration and. Yeah, so yeah, he's definitely a long-standing friend. I think he just moved to Tennessee like not too long ago too.
Yeah. Yeah. He
Yeah.
did. He did. He used to live in California. I
Yep.
think it was in the what was it? The oh darn it, San Diego area, and he moved to Tennessee. I think it was. Yeah. Bought a house out there. Said it's real nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I was seeing some pictures. It does look really nice. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, Yeah, actually, yeah, he posts like barbecues and stuff in his backyard, and it looks real nice, man. But like the back, you know, view, it looks really nice out there. He says he's
Oh, it's
real happy in that house.
going to Tennessee recently. It's gorgeous out there, man. It's so funny because I always tell people, I'm like, like up here in the PNW, like we have woods, but it's not like it is down there. Like down there, it's just like thick, just dense, just thicket. You know what I mean? It just
Right,
looks like a jungle. Like,
right.
if you're driving around Nashville or anywhere around like Kentucky, you look off and you see like the forest. It looks like a jungle. It's like, wow.
Yeah, yeah, no. I actually have a friend. Well, he's an investigator, researcher, very good one at that. His name's Ricardo Sanchez, and I've been talking to him off and on that I really want to go visit his property out in Tennessee. That's where he's at,
Mm-hmm.
and he has like really, really great evidence on Dogman tracks and Dogman howls recordings and stuff like that. Man, it's awesome. Dude. I really want to go visit him and Paul Chafin when I get the time to go out that way towards Tennessee, Kentucky. But yeah, it's really cool, man. Tennessee's a very like hot spot for Dogman and Bigfoot and all that and all those types of cryptids out there.
You should, man, because
Hmm.
I want to say around the 24th, 25th, I'm actually flying up. Do you know who Bart Nunnally is? Nunnally?
I've heard of him. I've heard of him, but I don't know him personally.
He's
Barton
he's
Roney.
yeah, he's a pretty well-known author in like cryptozoology. But I'm flying out to
Hmm.
his place with Josh Cutchin, who's another author, and
Okay.
he's going to take me to see a Bigfoot, which is he's like, yeah, he's like they're all over. I'm sorry, they're all over Henderson County. So, oh,
Oh,
hey, I saw a question pop up. Uh,
okay, sure. What
is
is it?
Donovan Dredd related to Lilith Dredd? They are ran by the same dude. I don't know how much that dude. I'm not going to mention his name, but
Hmm.
in real life, but I don't know how much information that dude wants to give away. But all I'll say is that yeah, they're not related, but they're both ran by him.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
if
Cool.
if that's what he wants. But as far as the Bigfoot thing goes, I'm kind of like freaked out by it because I always tell him I'm like, you know what? I feel like I need to have that as a rite of passage. I'm like, how could I call myself a mechanic when I'm not even like working on my own car? And it's like
Mm.
let me get this straight. I'm not going there because I want to get Bigfoot on camera. Like, I don't care about that. And
Yeah.
part of the reason, there's a couple reasons. You could get the best 4K quality footage of a Bigfoot coming up to your car, and there's people
Yes.
that'll still blast you, will still call you a fake, a liar, and that's
Yes.
not real. So I don't care about proving its existence. What I care about is having a genuine experience of my own that I can be like, wow. I don't need other people's validation. Then I would be like, dude, I had my own experience. You know what I mean? It's like,
Mm.
so that's what I'm going, and I'm honestly kind of scared. I really am because he's like, we're gonna go at night, and there's an area where I'm only gonna go so far because he's had experiences with him, and he's like, you don't get out of the car, be very careful. He's like, I'll be ready to rip out and pull away if like we have to, and so I'm like,
Hmm.
I feel like I'm like, are we going to a lion's den here? Like, what's going on? But he starts telling
Right.
me, he's like, no, he's like, you just got to be careful. He's like, they've been here in Henderson County long
Right.
before people have ever populated Kentucky. So,
Right. Right.
yeah. So I'm like,
And
okay. But
yeah.
anyway, I'm going to turn the whole trip into like a documentary. I'm going to interview him.
Awesome.
I'm assuming that content will be out sometime in October, probably later October. So, yeah, if you guys are watching, look out for that. That'll be really cool.
Yes. Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
man.
that'll be
Absolutely.
sweet.
Hell yeah. Hey, I wanted to ask you too. I heard that you have a book. Can you tell us
Yes.
about your book?
Yeah, of course. So,
Okay.
my book is called The Big Book of Monsters, Volume 1. It is currently in the editing phase right now.
Hmm.
I turned it in a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, my publisher is a little bit behind on production, which,
Hmm.
that's life. So I really want to make sure that this book is fine-tuned. So I'm probably going to kind of go over it a little more with a fine-tooth comb. But basically what it is it's it's going to be a 120,000 page book. Actually, not
Hmm.
120. Let me repeat, 100 word, not page. 120,000 word book, which is like 600 pages, and it's just full of encounters, new and old. So I have it broken up into like an introduction, but then it goes all the way from like alien abduction stories. There's Bigfoot, Dogman, strange humanoid encounter creatures, flying humanoids. There's Mothman. There's gargoyles. There's aquatic sea monsters. There's reptilians. There's skinwalkers. There's Wendigos. I'm sure I'm missing some, but I'd say there's probably about 7 to 20 encounters in each section. And all in all, there's probably about 150 encounters, and it ranges from short to long. And so it's basically just a giant collection of encounter stories. And I look back, and it is simple in nature, but I look back when I was really getting into like cryptid stories. I really wish I would have had a book like that to just dive into, because you read some of these stories, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened to this guy. And so, like I said, there's some new ones that I've never read before, and there's also some old ones that, for long-time viewers who've like digested a lot of my content, they may be like, oh, I remember this one, So, yeah, in a nutshell, that's basically what it is.
Cool. So, where can we find this book? On maybe on Amazon or something, or
when it gets released, yeah, it'll be on Amazon. If fingers crossed, if everything goes smooth, which I can't guarantee it does, I'd like to see a Halloween release around there, which would be really cool, but I can't guarantee that. I'd say at this point, probably end of October, November sometime.
Right.
Obviously, there's a lot of factors in that. Marketing campaign. I know the publisher's going to want to have a say in like when they want to the best date. So I'd say generally I'd say sometime between late October to December is probably going to be somewhere in there. But it's going to be in paperback, Kindle, all that cool stuff. Yeah.
Nice, man.
And it's only volume 1. There's going to be more. So
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, let me know, Josh. Whenever
I'll send you a signed copy, buddy.
Yeah, man. One. Thank you. Appreciate that. Because I really want to get one, man. Awesome, brother. So going back to what this comment says right here, my good buddy Todd T says, so true. People would not know what's real unless they came up with them in the butt. And even after that, they would still not believe it. Going back to what you were saying, that you don't want to, bring out that, oh, I saw Bigfoot and here's the evidence or whatever. And you know what, Josh, actually that's kind of where I'm at as well, that I want to see it for myself. Even if I can't take a picture or whatever, as long as I see it for myself, I'm good with that, brother. Because I'm trying to convince myself that they do exist, like I think they do. You know what I mean? Because I've never had an actual sighting of one, you know what I mean?
Right.
All I've done is research and just, encounters that I've listened to over the years. But I've never actually had an encounter, and that's why I want to go with my buddy Ricardo Sanchez, because he's told me, dude, if you ever really want to see one or hear one, come visit me. I'll pay for everything once you're here. Don't worry about anything except your trip, and you can stay with me and all this, and I'll take you to the places. And I'll show you where they're at. I'll talk to them. I'll tell you, you just want to see them or whatever. And that's what I want. That's ultimately what I want, just to see them. I know they don't like to, have their pictures taken. So I'm not going to try to push that to try to get a $1 million shot or anything. No. It's just, I want to prove it to myself, bro.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to make you a deal, but you have to follow through. Yeah. When I'm going here to Tennessee or I think it's Tennessee. Here in September, if I have an experience, you have to fly to your friends and to get one too. I can't be the only one.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But it's the same thing, right? Barton's like, yeah, I will take you to them. It's like 20 minutes from my house. Like, are you serious? And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, I've had multiple. He's like, I don't like them. He's like, he's like, I don't even really want to do it. He's like, but I'll do it for you. I'm like, are you sure we should be doing this? He's like, no, it's. He's like, don't worry. He's like, I'll make sure you're safe. He's like, but make sure you're armed. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
But
exactly.
I realize it's when people complain about proof and stuff like that, and I get that, right. I do.
Right.
But of course, it's like if you go back, when people were coming over here from Africa, if you were to say, well, prove to me that a lion exists, you really can't, other than saying like, oh, I saw one. But, of course, then you take into account like, okay, well, this is modern day. How can we don't have like footage and all this stuff? Well, that's because I believe that there's a supernatural quality to them, and I hear from time and time again when people are like, I see these things for 3 seconds. You're full of adrenaline. The last thing you're going to think of is to be like, oh God, I got to, it's like that doesn't. And then when people do take it, they're like, it was shot on a potato. So it's like, there's no winning. I think what people are expecting is like a perfect, DSLR shot of one like just sitting there posing. I'm like, you're not gonna You're not gonna get that.
Right, exactly.
You're not gonna get that.
Yeah, no. No, I
You know,
know.
and I hear too much. Anyone who's familiar with what I do. Like I've encountered too many stories to, because people ask me like, "Well, do you believe?" I'm like, I think I kind of do. Yeah, I really do. I think I've been in this field for so long. I've, in fact, at the conference, I talked to this guy, Joe. He was on Josh Turner's podcast. Holy crap. But he actually had to tell me his encounter in person. This guy shot a Dogman in the face. This thing was trying to get into his truck. He drove a big semi-truck. He's up in Michigan. And he was in a pull-off, and he was checking on, I don't remember what he was checking on. He was checking on something, what something to do with the weight. And he gets back in his truck, and he's driving up a grade going about 25 miles an hour. And he looks over, and this thing's like running alongside his passenger side, and it's looking right at him. And he tells me it was like looking around, looking for a way to get in the truck. And it's like it kept doing this with his hands as if it was gonna like reach in. He had his windows down, and so he had I think it was a 38, and he just reached over and shot it right in the face. And so, but he says the only reason he thinks he killed it is because it had a copper casing on the bullets, and if these are supernatural entities for whatever reason, gosh, what's the word? Not metal, but not solid metal. I can't think of the word. The alloy or something, it disrupts their. I sound stupid here. I'd have to talk to Josh Turner again. He explained it really well. But it disrupts something and it's able to kill him. It's really, really funky. But anyway, when Joe was telling me this like firsthand, you could tell he was really genuine in his experience. He's like, I don't know what it was, but he thinks there was a second one coming up on his left hand side. He didn't get to see it because he just looks over and this thing's head is just right in his window. It's massive, just this massive head. And it's like it's ducking its head down in the window. And of course, you know how big a semi-truck is. You know, you look up and it's like 8 feet off the ground, you know? And so
super high,
just massive. But he said when he shot it, it flew back and stiffened up. You know how like when things die, they kind of immediately lock up, and he could see it on the side of the road. But you know, he's going up a grade with, you know, tons behind him. He can't just speed up, you know? So he's kind of like stuck. And so, like, when he told me that, I literally got chills. So me and Tony Merkel, I don't know if you guys know who Tony Merkel is. We're literally hanging out in person, right? Just chit-chatting. We never met each other before. And so we're just like chit-chatting about life. And Joe comes in, and he's like, yeah, I don't remember how we were talking about Dogman, but he's like, yeah, I shot and killed one. We both look at each other. We look back at him. We're like, sit down and talk to us. And he's like, okay. Yeah, and I'm like, dude, that was...
Wow.
After that story, like I kind of just gave you the Reader's Digest version, but after that, Alloy, thank you. After that story, I was like, there's something in me, I feel like that changed after getting to like talk to a person face to face about an encounter versus just, well, I just read an encounter on the email. I was like, I kind of want to go out and do this now. Not get in the field and research, but I want to go out and like talk to people and, you know, hear their stories firsthand, because I'm like,
exactly.
The emotion in that room at that time, and I know no one can understand this, but like when you see his face and he's just describing the, you know, every little detail, and you're like, oh, and you're like, and then, you know, of course, like when you hear the stories, you're like there in your mind, you know, and he's describing this way this thing looked and how intelligent it was, and that its head was massive. I was asking him about its teeth and its mane and everything, and he was just like, yeah, it looked like this, and and here's the thing, here's what's terrifying. I asked him, I'm like, okay, you know, what did it look like? You know, because everyone says, well, it's a werewolf, but what? And he goes, I've never seen the movie, but you know the werewolf from Van Helsing at the very end of the movie, that big black werewolf. You guys can just Google werewolf Van Helsing if you don't know what I'm talking about. He said it looked just like that, except the head was a little wider and the snout was a little shorter and more broad. But just like that, it had the same kind of human quality in the eyes. He said it had a big mane like a lion, but that it went down like a cape. But just oversized, ridiculously ripped, just a complete killing machine. And he said actually its fangs actually came up out of its mouth. They were oversized, and so yeah, and just like my gosh. But he says he thinks he's being stalked by two of them. That the other one was coming up on his left hand side, but he didn't look in his rearview mirror. He just happened to look over, and it's right there in his passenger vehicle. And the fact that it was trying to like gonna reach in and try to open the door. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps just retelling the story, because I'm like, it affected me, man. It legit scared me. And so the story's not done though. So he drove back around because in his head he's thinking, I'm going to come back around and I'm going to run it over. I want to make sure it's dead. And so like 20 minutes later, he kind of comes back to this area and he sees there's a couple that have parked their car right around there, and they're off, like looking off in the distance, kind of just pointing and talking, right? And he's like, and he kind of pulls up and he rolls down his window and he says, "Hey, is everything okay out there?" And they look back at him, they keep talking, they're like, "Yeah, we're hearing some strange noises, like we think there's two black bears out there fighting." And of course, Joe really knew. So get this, here's what had happened. During the time that he drove and circled back around with his semi, probably about 20 minutes, the other dogman came by, grabbed the other dogman's body, and drug it back in the woods because apparently there was a blood trail. And that's when he was like, oh, he thinks the other one was going to come up and flank him. That's how he knew there was two of them.
Right.
And so it's like, oh my gosh. And he knew that those people, they saw something. They knew and saw something. And Joe wasn't going to say anything. But God bless Joe, man. He is such a kind, sweet guy. So cool. But yeah, it's completely terrifying. This is not related to Dogman, but it just it's fresh in my mind. There's a story in my book about a guy who went great white shark diving in Mexico, off the coast of Mexico, and he gets in the shark the cage, and he's down in the water, and he's just like, wow, great white sharks. And at some point the great white sharks act spooked. What spooks a great white shark? And they go. They don't just kind of like lazily move out. I mean, they go in fear. And these are 12 to 17 feet long great white sharks. And so he's like wondering, and within seconds he could see this large shape from underneath him slowly start to ascend, and he couldn't make out anything as far as like details of what looked like this, but he just some sort of long shape, and it just kept going and going and going for like 30 seconds, and then it eventually kind of it didn't stop, like it hit the tail, then it just kind of slowly submerged back down into the dark. But he says you can see the outline, and I had asked him, I was like, well, could it have been a submarine? But the issue with that is it kept going. So like it kind of came up enough to where you can kind of see an outline, but it just, whatever it was big enough that it kept going and going and going. And I don't know how long submarines are on average, maybe like 60 feet.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about, so that's why I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
But for the fact this thing to keep going and going and going and going and then go back down again, I don't know. He says it freaked him out. When he got pulled up on the boat, he's like, I don't know, something spooked the sharks. Right. So I know people have mentioned like, well, it could have been like a ship or something, but I don't know. It's just one of those things that stuck out to me. Yeah.
I was thinking something like a megalodon, man. Just like my good buddy Shane says from West Coast Dogman, megalodon. And megalodons, those are known to spook great white sharks.
Yeah. Well, and I think I was looking off the coast of Mexico and off the coast of Africa. I guess they've had sightings of like there's just been weird sea stuff. Yeah. When I say weird sea stuff, I mean like unidentified sea creatures that I guess there's supposed like Navy has documents of some stuff going on out in the South Pacific. When I mean South Pacific, I mean like Central America, Mexico, Northern South America, like that whole area of the Pacific. There's some strange stuff going on, just weird. Weird stuff, even like weird sounds coming from certain parts, they can't really identify.
There's actually a lot of I've seen many documentaries, and there's actually a lot of oversized great whites all over the world. But there's one that's really well known. She's 22 feet long, which is like the biggest in
wow.
She's off of the Guadalupe Islands in Mexico. They call her Deep Blue. That's what they call her.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and then there's one off the south coast of South Africa. They call him Submarine. Imagine, they say that he's like 40 feet long, 30 to 40 feet long. Which has attacked boats in South Africa.
Yep. That's Jaws.
Yeah. Imagine 30 to 40 feet, bro. I mean, wow.
I would be so scared.
That's the size of
oh
a
my
boat.
Gosh.
Yeah.
They have a name for I don't know, do they call them? I think they're called black sharks, but they're supposedly like 100 feet long, like just that they've been spotted, of course, off the coast of South Africa, and
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't you know it, what's in South Africa? The migration of seals. They follow the
The
food. It
migration,
makes
yes.
perfect biological sense. You have a large population of food, the
Yep.
predators come. That's nature at its core, and so
Right.
it makes sense that they start getting spotted.
Right.
Great whites also accumulate there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if people actually call them black sharks. That's what I've heard them referred to as. But they're supposedly these colossal sized sharks that are like 50 to 100 feet long, which is that's insane. That is humongous. So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
could that be the megalodon? I don't
Right.
know. I
Right.
don't know,
Well,
man.
they
Just
got that. They got that documentary on what is it? I think it's Discovery Channel, where they had a group of experienced fishermen go out in a huge boat, one of those, loading boats or whatever,
yeah,
and they threw thousands and thousands of chum because they're trying to look for megalodon because there's supposedly a an attack that happened there, and it's supposedly on camera where they think they got something on the line and it's really a megalodon, whatever, and it capsizes the boat. So then Discovery goes over there, and of course they were all dead. They all died, and Discovery goes over there, sends this crew, and they throw thousands and thousands of chum, and they try to lure in a megalodon, which apparently it does come out of the deep ocean, very deep or whatever, and they actually like see it when it goes by. One of them is in the cage or something. Now I don't know how real this is, but it's cool to look at. It's cool to check out
that's
where they.
terrifying. No thanks.
Yeah, I know. I would
No
not be on that
thanks.
boat.
I'd rather narrate it and talk about it. Yeah, I ain't
Yeah,
about to go in the field and do that, man.
yeah,
I don't got the
yeah.
kahunas for that, brother.
Exactly.
That's too
Hey,
terrifying.
hey, Josh. Hey, Josh. I actually invited my daughter here tonight. She's here. Uh, this is her.
What up?
Yeah, her name's Allison. If you can give her a shout out, she loves your channel too. By the
Oh, that's awesome. What's up? What's up, Allison? Thanks for the support.
way.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I
Thank
don't
you.
know you,
Thank
but
you.
I guess you know me.
Yeah, I told her I was going to interview you. She's like, "What? I love Wet Lurks Beneath. I watch them all the
Cool.
time." I'm like, "Wow, really? I didn't even know." Yeah.
I'll
Thank you,
remember
man.
I'll
Thank you
remember
for
that
that.
thumbnail. Allison, drop a comment or something on my channel. I'll give you a little comment on heart. I'll remember you.
Yes.
Of
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, Josh.
course,
Hey,
buddy.
I had a question. It sounds
Ask
like a
away,
great.
man.
There it is. Okay, it's my good buddy Tom from North Carolina, Cryptid and Paranormal Project. That's a long name, Tom. You need to change that. But anyway, yeah, he wants to
Branding,
ask.
brother. Branding.
Yeah, I know, right? It's he says a question. What's Josh's opinion on what's taking people in our national parks?
That's a really good question.
Yes, it is.
Um, I'll give you the longest, most drawn out answer possible. No. To be honest, I don't know, but I theorize that it could be a couple things. It could be well, okay. You're asking what's taking people, not why are people missing.
Right.
So in that case, I'll be as specific as I can to that exact question. Um, well, you've got some stories from David Politis that talk about kids being taken by what they calls the bear man or big hairy people, which that's either obviously a reference to a dogman or Bigfoot. But then the question, of course, is why. I don't know. But then there's also the one of the boy that was taken underground by this strange person with light coming out of his forehead, which might be a hologram. And the person or thing had asked this little boy to pull down his pants and poop on the sticky piece of paper. And he's like, well, I don't have to go. And this thing got mad at him and had him like leave or something like that. Just really bizarre. Um, Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. It's that whole phenomenon is so strange, and not just Politis' missing form, but I'm like the whole people just disappearing, and people then talk about like I saw the bear man or I saw this person being taken away by so and so, and I don't know. To answer your question, I don't know if there's one thing taking people. It might be a culmination of many things. So if I guess were to simplify the answer to a couple of theories, I'd say potentially Bigfoot, potentially Dogman, maybe demons or I guess people call aliens,
Hmm.
the Greys. Uh, I don't know that this is just based off everything I've read, based off what people have said. it's strange, man. We'll say that it's really eerie. Um, I feel like I want to add more to that question, but it can get really long. So I guess I'll just keep it simplified to that. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just got theories. I'm not too sure. That's a deep rabbit hole, buddy. That's a deep rabbit hole. In fact, that's something you could probably spend like an hour or two alone just on that topic. That deserves its own podcast for sure.
Right.
Yeah, but good question though, man. Good question.
Yes, thank you, Tom, for that question, bro.
Yeah, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Tom's like my bro. We started this channel together, and now he's got that channel right there with that name.
Right
but,
on.
Yeah, we still do like every once in a while a show together. I wanted to ask you, Josh.
Ask away. What's Josh's favorite?
This I wanted to ask you, man. What do you? Because look, my favorite episodes that you do are either Dogman or Werewolf or Bigfoot or anything that has to do with cryptids in the woods, right? Right. And the park ranger stories, those are awesome too. Like those are like my two favorite topics that you cover. Out of those stories that you've always, heard and wrote and narrated, what is most terrifying to you of the cryptids?
Well, for one, that's a wonderful question. I love that. That's very it's not just a simple question. And I'm going to summarize my answer with Dario. For one, I'll say Dogman and Reptilian, I think, are hold the baton for my personal favorites. Now, taking that and then attaching it to what you are asking, I'm sorry, rephrase the last part of your question, because those were similar questions. What do I think is the most terrifying?
Yeah, what do you think is the most terrifying out of all the cryptids that you've heard of or, had people tell you their encounters?
I would say that it's a tie between Reptilian and Dogman, and here's exactly why. Dogman, obviously, we've heard all the accounts. They're so intelligent that they're evil. That freaks me out. They're so evil and intelligent, and that they strategize. They act like an alpha predator, and the way they prey on you and the things they do. That to me is more terrifying than just coming out of the woods being a killing machine and ripping you to pieces. Now that is terrifying, but it's how they get to they invoke fear in you. It's like they want to torture you before they kill you, and that you don't have to go very far to kind of come to that conclusion. Like listen to Vic's encounters, you can just go on YouTube and type in Dogman encounters, and you'll just get like just tons. And I just spend a couple hours and just see how these things are and just see how they act and the things they do. And it's like, dear God, like we're dealing with an advanced alpha predator here that can rip you to shreds. Like that's terrifying. And, you hear all these stories of people who talk about it. And it's not like, oh yeah, it's just this thing and it was cool. Like these people are terrified out of their mind. I saw Joe's face. He was scared as he's really telling it. He started shaking at one point. And I'm like, if this guy is lying, he's the best actor I've ever seen in my life. Like, wow. And to him, he was very like, this is therapeutic and I need to talk about it. And it's like, oh my God, like that alone is terrifying. Now, to tie that in relationship to reptilians, this isn't just like the reptilians you see on TV with the eyes and the whole. I'm talking about the stuff that I've read that people talk about, like the shape-shifting reptilians, the half dinosaur, half reptilian, half humanoid-looking ones that have like a velociraptor head and teeth, and they act the same way as Dogman. They're so intelligent, but they're so evil. And in fact, I had a couple where it's like a guy who was in the swamp in the bayous in New Orleans and around there. He talked about them coming up out of tunnels in the earth, that there were these large, like 6 by 4 foot holes. Oh, like that's humongous. And in like wetlands, how is that even possible, right? But these tunnels that were actually dug deep, and they would come out of these tunnels. And these are like 9 foot tall, like imagine the Hulk, like literally imagine the Hulk, except scales. And with the head of a freaking velociraptor, right? Like multiple accounts of people describing these half dinosaur, half reptilian, or excuse me, half human beings, massive claws, and just acting the same way as Dogman does. That they prey on you, they stalk you, they act very intelligent, they use strategy. It's literally the same thing, that they act the same way that a Dogman does, except instead of, what looks like a werewolf, it looks like something you'd see from the video game Turok, And it's like, that is terrifying. You know, it's like not only am I going to stay out of the swamps, but I'm going to stay out of the woods. Um, there was if any of you go back to my older episodes, like with reptilians,
Mm-hmm.
there's a couple where this thing like rips apart alligators. You know, like a 12-foot alligator, like it's nothing. Like
Wow.
I don't know
Damn.
about you, but I'd probably have a heart attack of fear. You
Yeah.
know, I just seeing that. So uh, it's scary, man. That's why even when
Yeah.
Barton was like, "Hey, I want to, you know, like I can take you to him," I was like, "This is Bigfoot." I'm already hesitant. When I
Right.
was down in Tennessee, I was really close to the land between the lakes. I was like 30 minutes away, and I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to go, but honestly, I was like, everyone was telling me they're like, "Don't do it. Don't go by yourself. It's not worth it." And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't know, maybe this isn't a good idea. It's kind
Yeah.
of scary.
Exactly. No, yeah, man, that is crazy, man. Just to think about being there in person and seeing one of these things. And you know what? What you mentioned. I remember this one game because I'm a gamer. I've always been a gamer. I don't know if anybody knew that, but I have. Still am. Um, there was a game back in the day where there was it had a werewolf in there. You know, what was the name of this damn game? Uh,
Castlevania.
No, and then they had one like you said, like a velociraptor, but like human like he walked, and he
Oh,
whiplashed his
Rampage.
tail. No, no, no. It was from I remember it's from the Super Nintendo. I remember it was back in
Yeah, I
the
think it was Rampage. Right? You control the characters. You can get to like destroy
right.
stuff.
No, but they would fight. It was like a tournament, kind of like Mortal Kombat or something. But they would fight each other. The cassette thing was black. It was like one of the only black ones in Super Nintendo, and I can't remember the damn name right now.
Um.
I'll,
Oh.
I'll, I'll see if I can remember. Does anybody remember that?
Was there multiple of
Anybody?
them?
There was a guy. He was like an alien, and he was like made out of ice. His name was Glacius,
Oh.
and
Yeah. I know. I know what you're talking about.
and the werewolf guy was named Saberwolf.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Gosh, I know what it is.
you know which one I'm talking
Um.
about. Yeah, I just can't remember right now because I'm on
Oh,
screen. But
gosh, it's gonna bother me now.
yeah,
Yeah, Killer Instinct.
Killer
That's what it was.
Instinct. There you
Dude,
go.
I love
Yes.
that game. That was
I
sick. There's a
know, I
skeleton
know.
guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I used to play that
Spinal,
all the time in arcades when I was a kid.
Spinal Tap. Yeah, the
Oh, that was
skeleton guy.
yeah. That was a hard game. It was fun.
It was
That
hard.
werewolf scared
Yes,
me.
that werewolf
Yeah.
was scary, dude. Yeah, and then he did his ultra thing, and then just fucking just slashing away. Ultra, ultra.
Yeah, dude, that's a
That was
trip going back to
awesome.
that game.
Yeah, that was an awesome game, dude. I wish I could get it back again.
I guess they'd made a third one.
Yeah, I think they did.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull it up real quick. Instinct 2, because I'm trying to remember one of the characters. So there's like a few that I would always play, and I'm trying to remember. I'm not gonna take too much time. I just didn't know if there was. I think it was a skeleton guy, maybe not. There's one of them. Yeah. So there's the
The
ice
reptilian
guy,
guy. The
the
reptilian
werewolf. Okay,
guy.
so maybe it was just that and the skeleton guy that I would play. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
don't really remember some of these other characters. But anyway,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
cool, man. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, my favorite was the ice guy, the glacius
Hmm.
guy, and the saber wolf, which was the werewolf guy. Those were my two favorites. Killer Instinct, yeah, man, that was a great game, man. Good
That
times.
was that's before Mortal Kombat completely took over.
Yeah, and there was I can't remember his name, but since you looked it up, that lizard guy, the raptor guy. I can't remember his name though, but
Raptor guy. See, I don't remember there being a Raptor guy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You could probably put it.
Oh,
What's his
okay. No,
name?
I see him now. He's like in this little banner thing. He's like he's got this weird little spiked tail, but he's kind of like
Yeah,
hunched over like that.
yeah,
Yeah, people talk about seeing stuff like that, you know.
yeah,
Or if anyone's ever played the game Turok,
yeah. Turok was
that's
another
where
one.
I always go to when people describe these half dinosaur, half humanoids to me is Turok, which is a
Yeah.
really old game for 64, but it had like beings in it like that. It's like, dear God, like no. And people ask me like, would you ever go hunting for one? No, no.
Right, right.
I'm cool, bro. I'm cool. I'll just talk about them.
Exactly, exactly. Um, yeah. So those were awesome. And you just reminded me when you were saying about the thing in the forest, kind of like a werewolf or Dogman, where he's got the Velociraptor head and he's got the claws and just like a that's what I've heard of that, but I've never actually heard an encounter of anybody seeing one of those. which is strange
Yeah.
because.
So the weird thing is, like, once I started like doing my thing, I somehow became the monster guy. I somehow became like the crypt, which is I don't know why. I somehow became the cryptid guy go-to guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I started on YouTube, like my whole thing was I'm like, where's all the, like, because Vic was the only guy like doing anything cryptid really. And I think at the time Vic also might have had Bigfoot encounters. I think. I'm pretty sure he did. And so other than him, like there's really nobody else doing cryptid stuff. And so somehow I just became the guy for that. And next thing you know, I'm getting all sorts of bizarre, strange stories. And it's like, you come across some strange stuff, man. And like not just strange, but terrifying stuff. I could tell you so many different Dogman stories. I mean, just so reptilian skinwalker crawler. As you guys have known, I've done so many videos. People will reach out to me like, "Hey, remember that one episode you did about this story?" And I'm like, "Bro, I've done so many. I couldn't even tell you. Like, honestly, I don't remember that one. But if I pull it up, I'm like, oh yeah. I remember this story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. I'm reading some of the questions here.
Yeah.
On the next Three Beards podcast. I'll do it, Todd. Just hit me up. We're just actually thinking about the predator cryptid people are saying.
Yeah.
So the predator cryptid, I believe that's just Bigfoot cloaked.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have another question from Todd T. He says, "Hey
Sure.
Josh, if you don't mind answering a question,
Of course.
what would be your first response in an encounter, and what would you think? What would you do? Like if you had one personally."
I would say, Todd, it really depends on the context. Like, is it just a sighting or am I actually getting attacked? So let's go with the first one. If it's just a sighting, probably try to stay out as much as I could. And by that, I mean, just try to stay out of the way, not really just carry on my business, what I'm doing to have the insight or have the sighting. But now if this thing is actually coming after me, if it's, preying on me, and it definitely is interested in wanting to hurt me, I just, for my beliefs, I would call upon the name of Jesus. That's just me.
Right.
And try and pray that, if it's my time, it's my time. And if not, then I can get out of it, or
Right.
some way to escape. And what else are you going to do when you have a 9-foot tall alpha predator coming to kill you? Like, what do? You either crap your pants or you pray or both, and it's like,
yeah.
Yeah. Or if I had the well, you think about it, I don't even think you could run.
No.
What is that going to do?
No.
Come on.
You're just going to look more. Yeah, you're just going to look more like a prey, and it's going to just make it more fun for him to chase you down.
I don't care if you're what's his name, like Usain Bolt, right? I don't care. You ain't gonna outrun it, bro. Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah,
good luck.
No, you know what? I think Todd is the one that asked you that question because he's actually an eyewitness. He actually had a Dogman encounter. A close-up Dogman encounter.
Todd, if that is true, I'm sorry. Like that is.
Yes.
I think the hardest part about it is not like going through it, but also who do you talk to about it? Most people are so quick to write. Like, listen, exactly. I tell the stories. I see the mean, nasty responses I get from people who constantly, like, they scoff at this stuff. Yes. And then I get emails from genuine people who are like, hey, like, listen, I've had an experience. I just want to say, like, thank you for being an outlet for people like me, or just, I just behind closed doors, like, just personal thank you.
Yes.
And it's real. Like, this stuff, I don't think, if this is all fake, I don't think people would be genuinely taking their time, or people would be taking their time to give me genuine responses and messages saying, like, hey, like, I appreciate you doing what you're doing and allowing us to, because it's therapeutic for a lot of people, because they can't talk to anybody. Our culture and our world of society, like, you're labeled insane, you're labeled crazy, and like I said, I get really mean, nasty comment, not necessarily directed at me, but more directed at the comment. Why do you read creepypasta stories? Or I like this channel, but these stories make you so whatever the opposite word for is credible. I can't think of the word off the top of my head. It's just it's like, and I get it because I'm in a niche where there's like virtually no physical proof, and you're just having to go most of the time from eyewitness accounts. And these are the crowd that I talk to is also the same crowd that likes a lot of like unsolved mysteries, true crime, where there is an overabundance of corroborated details of eyewitnesses. There's documentation. There's names of officers and investigators on the scene. So like to them, they're like, what, this is fake. Like,
Right.
and especially if this kind of stuff is covered up and you can't find any information that to their eyes, it looks like I'm just lying and just making all this stuff up. And it's like, that's why I just try to reiterate, like, number one, take everything I say with a grain of salt because it could be true, it could not be true. But number two, just take it for entertainment.
Right.
But no, people, it is what it is. And I realize doing what I do, it just comes with the territory and the niche.
Right.
People say,
Right.
well, Mr. Ballin. I'm like, listen, the reason he doesn't got to deal with it is because he's dealing with true cases, like true documented cases. But for me, I don't necessarily care about what a person did to another person. Like, I like true crime, and that's cool, but I'd rather explore the unexplained. Like, that's more interesting. But
Yes.
it's
Yes.
just, it is what it is, man. It is what it
Exactly.
is.
No, thank you. Thank you for answering that
Of
for
course.
Todd, because Todd had a couple of what is it? Dogman encounters. Actually, he had like two.
Two?
Two. No,
One's bad enough.
no, he had four total.
What?
Yeah, yeah. But the very I think it was the very first one. That's or the last one. I can't remember now. He had one where he was hunting in his dad's old hunting grounds and stuff, or places to hunt, and a dog man came behind him, grabbed him by the shoulder, turned him around, and as he tried to go for his gun, the dog man looked at him and said, kind of like no, and then he pointed that way, like saying go back the way you came or whatever. He didn't talk to him or anything, not even telepathy or anything, but he just pointed to him, go back the way you came, and he almost yeah, he almost did himself in his pants. So
I'm surprised, dude. I would have completely ruined my pants.
yeah, I know,
You can't tell me like you had that kind of thing happen. You're like, I'm like
I
a foot
know,
away from a flipping werewolf, and it's like, oh yeah, no, it's cool. Just go that
yeah,
way back, bro. It's cool.
yeah. I would. I mean, if you would like to, I can get Todd to contact you and tell you all his encounters. And man, I would love to hear you narrate his encounters, man. Because
Well, Todd, you're listening right now, buddy. If you want
yeah,
to reach out to me, man, you want me to tell your story,
yeah,
dude, I'd be honored.
yeah. Because
I
that's a real
I'm.
encounter. That's a real
How do
encounter.
you deal? How do you even like deal with four encounters? Like, I don't even.
Yeah.
There's nothing in life that prepares you for that. Like, how do you?
Well, I think like the second and third one were just where he just seen him, like go by, walk by, or whatever. There was two that he just seen, but there was one where he grabbed this, it was physical contact, dude, and the other one was he was sleeping in his because he's a truck driver. He was sleeping and his whole rig moved, right? He's like, what the hell? He got up, went up over to the like look in the passenger window, and a dog man was staring at him right through the window, dude. Yeah.
Gosh,
That was
man.
crazy. That's like insane. And so he has a group. It's called Dogman Eyewitness. What is it? I can't remember the full name right now because it's pretty long. But it's called Dogman and Eyewitness Support Group or something. And that's for like people that have had encounters and they want to talk about what they, and try to get over the PTSD and stuff like that. It's great, man. He has his own group on YouTube.
Yeah,
I mean, on Facebook. I'm sorry. Hmm.
no. I was just gonna say, Todd. I don't know if he'll respond fast enough,
Hmm.
but
Oh, he's
or
listening.
maybe you've heard his story. But did he describe what they looked like?
Yeah, yeah. He has great description on all the ones he's seen. They're not all the same. Actually, I don't want to give that away. I'd rather you. I interviewed him. Me and Tom interviewed him about a year and a half ago. He was like our fourth interview when we first started. Now I'm on 38. So yeah, he's a great guy, man. Great guy to talk to. No bullshitting kind of guy, and I would like for him to talk to you, man, to see what you can come up for.
One thing I wanted to say, and I'm actually gonna pull up my phone real quick because I can't
Hmm.
do a screen share.
Hmm.
So when I was talking to Joe, and you hear this in a lot of encounters, right? Hold on, let me pull this up, and he's talking about how it has a human look to its eye, and I always think to myself, like, what does that look like? And so
Hmm.
I'm gonna brain fart here real quick. Let's see if I can pull it up.
You know what, Josh? I'm actually an artist. I can draw. I can draw the hell out of anything. People, a lot of people don't know that. That's another new thing I just brought up now, guys. I can draw, like even portraits of pictures, babies, old ladies, whatever. I can
Old
draw them.
ladies.
Yeah, I did that when I was locked up, and I used to get commissary off of that. I was, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I can draw really good. But see, the thing is, a lot of people draw like Dogman, and
Yeah.
I remember Marvin Allen wanted somebody to draw one for him, and I was actually considering on drawing one. But I want to draw it like most people describe it, dude. Like
Yeah.
with the bodybuilder body, with the very few hair because they're not super hairy all the way around. They're
No,
very
not
few
like
hair.
Bigfoot.
Yeah, not like Bigfoot exactly. And they like the general description is a German Shepherd head. That's what I want to put on the
This
body.
thing, man.
Yeah.
I can't really zoom it in for people, but I'm like, if you could see, look at his eye shape. Actually, shows up really good on stream. See how it looks? It looks like a human. That eye shape and that the way the eye looks, it looks human. And that's how Joe was telling me when I was showing this picture to him, and
Yeah.
he's like, "That is what I saw. Just make the snout shorter and the head bigger." I'm like, "You saw that?" He's like, "Yeah, it was looking right at my window." Yeah, and again, the same. I think that it has a human look to the eye, and
Hmm.
it's there's intelligence and evil. It's like an evil thing. Like it was. He was gonna get killed, man. He was gonna get killed. Somebody told me at Land Between the Lakes, there's 18 people that have died. That they cover the whole thing up. There's it. The thing with a lot of these deaths in Dogman, there's supposedly this huge conspiracy surrounding it,
Hmm.
and I know people are like, dude, you should cover. You should do this whole thing on it. I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to go missing. I don't want people knocking at my door, accosting
Right.
me, saying, hey, you need to take this video down. People are like, well,
Hmm.
that's ridiculous. Listen, I've heard people it's happened to.
Hmm.
There's people that have gone missing for sharing less. I'm not about to get myself in trouble or accosted or anything, and so people think that's crazy. But there's a certain length that I'm willing to dig into before I'm like, I just, what I mean? I
Right.
don't want to make myself too much of a target. So there's
Right.
certain cases where it's like you're dealing with deaths and potential cover-ups. Um, I just don't know if I'm gonna deal with it. Now, on that topic, there's a town directly north of Land Between the Lakes. It's called like Grapevine or something. I don't know what the heck it's called. Great View, Grand View. Someone who's not stupid will know what I'm talking about. But anyway, my friend D.A. Roberts,
Hmm.
he went up there like asking around, and nobody would talk about it. Nobody
Hmm.
would talk about it. And so, if the whole thing was made up, then why were so many people, so eager to like the one guy kicked him out of his store. A few people wouldn't talk about it. He actually got a chance to talk to a police officer. D.A. Roberts used to be a sergeant. He's no longer in the force. And the guy told him cop to cop, like, drop it. Like, looked straight in the eye and said, drop it. Don't touch it. So it's
Right.
like, what's going on? Like if this is, that tells me stuff's going on. Uh, Not too long ago, they reintroduced elk and bison.
Hmm.
Why would that be? Are they're trying to keep these things fed? I don't
Right.
think people realize there's stuff. I think a lot of people, when they hear these things, they're like, well, why?
Hmm.
Well, you have to realize if they came out and publicly announced these things, for one, they would lose billions of dollars. You're talking massive amounts of money loss. And two, you would have mass panic and hysteria. Two things I don't think people like really factor that in. And so
Hmm.
between those two things, you can't have that. So you just have these things out there. You deny any existence you have. Anybody that comes up with encounters, you humiliate them, you mock them, you make them seem like they're crazy. This is all like stuff from the Communist Manifesto, and like these are tactics that you do in war to your enemy, right? To make them seem crazy, to discredit them. Like, but people don't get it. They don't catch on. But it's like, it is what it is, man. It is. So I just kind of like see the overview of all this, and I'm like, wow,
Right. Yeah.
wow. Like if there wasn't such a huge press to like suppress this information, there must be something going on. Now you start to ask the question, well, okay, what are Dogmen then? I don't know. Um, I've heard lots of stories of where they come in and out of portals and stuff, and
Hmm.
especially like over at Skinwalker Ranch, I believe that they are And here's the thing: you have a huge sect that believes they're flesh and blood,
Flesh and
but
blood.
then other people believe they're supernatural. I believe they're supernatural because they're able to come in and out of our plane of existence, just from everything I've read and seen. And so what happens is when they come to our, I don't want to say dimension, but our plane, they have to operate by the rules. So when they manifest here by coming through portals and stuff, I've heard stories where they get shot at and like, either the bullet doesn't do anything to them or it only, there's like only flesh and hair. There's no blood, right? It's because they're not fully materialized. There's just a lot of weird stuff. And I'm only touching the surface. I know it seems crazy, but when you start to look into this stuff and you hear about all these Bigfoot and Dogman stories of things coming out of portals, and it gets weird, man. It gets really weird. And I'm not saying I 100% believe this, but I'm saying everything that I read and look at seems to point in this supernatural direction. So that would tell me that these are some sort of beings or entities. I don't know. I'm just theorizing. I really don't. I don't think anybody has the answers, to be honest. We all just theorize. Not grapevine. I don't know what it's called. Great view. I don't know. Here, you know what? In fact, I'll look it up right now. I got to just pull up Land Between the Lakes. We'll do it on Google Maps. I'll get the exact name for you guys. It's literally right on top, right on Highway 24. It is. Appreciate you guys being so patient. Grand Rivers. Grapevine. It's not Grapevine. Grand Rivers.
Oh yeah, Grand Rivers. Isn't that right above?
Right above, buddy.
LBL.
Yep, you go through right above LBL. You run into Grand Rivers.
Yeah, the reason I remember that the name of that is because one encounter was one guy got chased out of LBL, and he said he went across the bridge because there's the bridge that goes across, and that's what he got to that. He didn't stop until he got to Grand Rivers. That's what I remember because I looked it up. I googled it. So like, wow, dude, he got chased all the way from there, all the way to the Grand Rivers. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts,
man. I wonder how many people, because you know how LBL is known for like the northern side to have all the activity. So I wonder how many people from Grand Rivers cross that bridge to go camping or whatever in LBL, or
probably
don't
none
because
it seems like they know about it.
Right,
they know about it and they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I was told too that I don't know if you guys listening out there, Taylor, Mississippi is a hotbed for Dogman sightings and stuff.
Very hot spot, yes.
If you're, and I guess a lot of people have come from out of town to investigate. I guess if you have an out of state plate, you'll get pulled over and told to leave.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I've wanted to go there, and many people told me don't because you'll get run out by the cops.
The cops will kick you out.
Yeah, they'll see your plates and know that you're not from there. They pretty much know everybody that lives in that town, right? So
yeah, it's a small town.
If they see you and you're just kind of just hanging out or whatever, they'll ask you to leave because they know what people are there for.
Yeah, and in fact, I've heard a story where there's an old woman who got torn apart outside of her car. All they found was her clothing and blood. She's like an elderly lady, had to stop to change her tire. Next thing you know, apparently something that so when the cops got there, they could see her bloody clothing and a blood trail leading to the woods, and then it stopped, and they weren't going to pursue it. I think the whole PD in that town, they know. Right.
Yes, absolutely. I think
it's like,
they do.
Dear God, man, this is. Had you told me, and I know they're not werewolves because werewolf is someone that can change under circumstances, shapeshift, but the fact that you have werewolf beings.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro.
Like 24/7 all year round. That's their.
What do you call them in Spanish? What was there a word for werewolf?
Hombres lobos. Yeah, hombres lobos.
Oh no.
Which is hombre is man and lobo is wolf. So wolf man. Hombres lobos. Yeah.
Talk about terrifying, brother.
Yeah, no. And hey, before we get to our little surprise reveal for everyone, what I'm going to be doing for you, I want to talk about going back to when I was saying that I draw, that I'm a really good artist. If anybody or if you, Josh, need a drawing of some sort of creatures or whatever, like maybe for your podcast, your uploads or whatever. I'd be glad to work on them for you, man. Like if you want, like the lizard man, the one you were mentioning, like if you need drawings or anything like that, I'd be happy to do them for you. And if anybody out there in the comment section, if y'all want like a portrait of a baby or a sibling or your mom or whatever, like for a tattoo, hit me up and I'll draw it up for you. And then you can go get it tatted on you.
Dude, that's sweet. Right
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, I do tattoos too, but I don't do tattoos to just anyone, just to people I really really know. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. And what you just said about the the Spanish speaking part, like the hombre lobo. You want to go ahead and tell everybody what we got planned, me and you, Josh?
Yeah, so I've been working with this guy for about a month now, and we're in the works, but I'm putting together a Spanish version of What Lurks Beneath. So it's basically going to be What Lurks Beneath Espanol.
Espanol,
And it's
yeah.
going to be basically what I do, but he's actually going to be the overdub, all in Spanish. So I only reach the North American audience, basically. And so a lot of people who are native Spanish speakers or they don't speak English,
Hmm.
but they'd rather hear my content in Spanish, well, he's going to be the voice for it. So it's going to be really exciting to see a Spanish overdub over my face. Can you do the voice, Carlito? Do it. Do it. I got to hear it on live.
Esta vez el hombre lobo vino.
Yeah, there we go.
You know,
It's
hombre
gonna be
lobo. You know what that is, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be sweet, man. It's
Yeah,
going to be sweet.
yeah.
Yes, everyone from South America. I don't know. I know they speak Portuguese, but I
Yeah.
hope that there'd be at least somewhat of an understanding.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they'll still get it. They're like, oh, America, like that's crazy. You guys got this stuff. But I know, dude, I've gotten stuff from South America, like Venezuela, Guatemala. People like they got a lot of stuff going down. In fact, Peru, like the episode I sent you, man, all sorts of crazy stuff, man.
Yeah.
In fact, that's the first episode he's gonna do is on Peru, and I'm like, this will be easy because it's all Spanish names anyway. That's right up your alley, buddy.
Yeah. I know it. I know
Yeah.
It. Yeah, the first when we talked about it, he was like, "Say this in Spanish, Carlito. Say this in Spanish. How would you say that in Spanish?" I tell me like, "Oh, dude, that's awesome. Hell yeah, let's do it."
Yeah. Well, and see, the thing is because Italian and Spanish are Latin based. It's very similar.
Yeah.
Like, what did he just say? He said, "What is it in
Oh yeah, in
uomo lupo?"
Italian.
And in
Uomo
Italian, it's
lupo.
almost identical in Italian.
Italian. Yeah.
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 But,
And that's
you know,
where the loop guru is in French, and
Yeah.
that's where that loop is. That lupo is loop
Yeah.
guru, and womo is man. So yeah, wolfman.
That's
Yeah, but in
I
Spanish
think-
it sounds awesome too, though, man. In Spanish,
yeah.
hombre lobo. You know,
That's-
like wow. Yeah,
You
yeah.
start saying that, man, you act scared. Oh my God! Like, what? That's scary, man.
Yeah, it is.
On that, you know, this is kind of related, but there was like stories about I don't know why they were there, if they're like from contract work, but a group of Latinos, you know, they're out in the gosh, what is it? It's the desert, but I'm trying to think of what it is. It's the so there's an S.
Sierra,
No.
because the Sierra is like pretty much a desert.
No, what is it? It's like New Mexico, Arizona, somewhere around there. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, they saw this like bat creature come out of the ground, like a large, and it scared them. They thought it was what do they call it? And of course, you know, I'm on live, so now I forget any Spanish word I've ever known. Of course, they thought it was the devil, and so that they were saying they were like screaming that over and over, and they were running. They were terrified, and then they were freaked out. It was like 4 of them. They're scared out of like this thing comes out of the ground and try to grab one of them and pull him back in. Like it actually flew up out of the ground and like what was going after him.
Wow.
You know, it's yeah. Like my gosh, man. Let me see if I can pull it up where it's at, what it is. It definitely starts with the S. I want to say it's somewhere between.
Is it Sedona? John Miller says if it's Sedona.
No. Maybe it was like northern Mexico. You know what's gonna happen? We're gonna end this live, and I'm like, oh, that's what it was. You know.
Right.
Always. Sonora. That's what it was.
Sonora. Okay. Sonora,
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's Mexico, but
Yeah,
it was like
that's
north of
northern.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
the Sonoran Desert, man. Yeah, that scared the
Bat-like
crap out
creatures,
of them.
huh? Wow.
The one guy spoke really good English though, and that's how he's the one who did the story. But him and his three amigos, you know, they I don't remember what they were doing. They were out there doing some sort of work. was like contract work, and it was like the nighttime. This thing came up out of the ground. Said it was big.
Wow.
He tried to grab one of his buddies, and
Man.
it missed or something like that, and then it went back in. And yeah, I guess they won't talk about it. Like they're terrified. They're scared so bad. And I'm like, yeah, who do you talk to about that stuff?
Exactly.
And
maybe it's from like a cave system underground or something. You know how bats live in caves, right? Well, what makes you think there's not a bat-like cryptid living in caves in a cave system?
You know, I've gotten stories too about people exploring the cave system under like New Mexico, Arizona. Supposedly, and I'm not talking about like dug up by the cartel, but supposedly there's cave systems that go down way down,
Yes.
That connect Arizona, New Mexico, Sonoran Desert.
Yes.
I've heard of the cartel using those tunnels, but that's like a cave system, not an actual tunnel system. They do the cartel's tunnel systems, but specifically the cave system that there's things living down in there. I remember one guy was going down in there and he heard something big moving around, coming up towards him, and it scared him so bad he left. People could say, oh, well, it was this, but I'm like, okay, but if you're in an underground cave system and you hear something like big moving towards you, and of course, I'm not giving all the details and much context, so it could easily be right off, but it was in one of the episodes that I did out of the 1,000 something.
But
and
imagine,
Yeah.
Josh, how creepy and scary that would be. You're, hundreds of feet underground in a abandoned mine or something, or a cave system, and you hear something coming out of there like screeching and roaring, and dude, like, what do? You know what I mean? You can't get out fast enough. You know what I mean? Like,
no. Like, I was convinced it was something from hell.
Thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? Because I've actually heard a lot of stories like that coming out of like the Tennessee, Kentucky area where they got a lot of abandoned mines. They say that people like to go in there and explore, and they get runned out, dude, by something creepy down there.
I'm a huge fan of spelunking.
Mm-hmm.
And the times that I've done it, I've never had anything weird, but dude, I will not do it in like Tennessee or Kentucky, man. There's just too much weird stuff.
Yeah, too much weird stuff.
I don't want to be that guy that goes missing.
Right.
And no.
And see, the thing about it is, I have a good buddy. His name is Paul Chafin. He's a Dogman investigator too, and he says that there's a lot of sightings over there in Kentucky. He's in Kentucky, Daniel Boone Forest area, because of the granite and the stones that they have there, and that's why the mining was going on there, because they were mining granite and all these precious gem-like stones or whatever, but they abandoned them. So now the people that try to go down there and explore them, they get run out by creepy stuff. So
Kentucky and Tennessee, as Barton tells me, seems to be a hotbed of everything from Dogman, Bigfoot. It just, I guess there's also a lot of occult activity. There's human sacrifice.
Yes.
People hear that and they go, no. I'm like, listen, for anyone who's in denial about that, I'm like, why don't you go study occultism and study like legit human sacrifice, and the rituals they do. Like, I want you to take time and study. These aren't Satanists. These are it's a whole other thing. And there's stuff going on. And I've heard stories about these people conjuring up these beings. They open up portals and stuff. I know it sounds crazy. I get it. But you start reading story after story after story after story, and you're like, this can't all be faked. Like, there's no way that there's this massive, evil conspiracy of just creating all this content and stories. It's just...
Right. And you know what? Have you ever heard of the rake? That's what a lot of people say that comes out of those underground tunnels or abandoned mines.
Like the
rake
crawlers.
Creatures. Yeah, crawlers.
They call them crawlers, yeah. Yeah,
like
I don't know what those are.
And they look ghoulish, and they're bald, and they're like white.
Naked.
Color.
Naked and pale.
Naked, pale, yeah. And that's really creepy, man.
I believe it's something the government knows full well about.
Mm-hmm.
They have a whole thing where it's like you can't talk about it. It's, in fact, when we were at the conference, I guess there were several officers there, all of which who've had an experience, and they weren't allowed to talk about it. They, it's a shut your mouth. If you know it's good for you, be quiet. Don't talk about it. You run your job. Right. It's thanks, Whispers. It's just one of those things where it's like, I wish I didn't know more about the whole satanic ritual abuse and occultism, but just throughout my time, I wouldn't say I've studied it, but I've learned and heard people about it and heard things they do and what they. I've heard stories that they try to summon these things. They try to bring these beings through portals. Well, why would they do that? Because they're interested in controlling them and using these beings for their own bidding, to harm people, to attack people. In fact, I remember I heard the story about this man who he set out to disprove magic because he's like, it's just a bunch of crap. I think he grew up playing like Dungeons and Dragons, and he's like, at one point in his life, he wanted to set out to disprove that black, like, it's just all a bunch of crap. It doesn't exist. Well, long story short, he came in contact with a guy who ran a coven, and in his pursuit for truth, he actually joined the coven, and these people would actually like summon up spirits and demons, and this woman, one of the witches, actually summoned up what he described as a werewolf-looking spirit, but it actually had a physical manifestation. Mm-hmm. And the lady sent it against this other lady, and I guess he didn't know that she was a genuine Christian. And the spirit comes back and starts like not like physically attacking her, but like going off on the witch that summoned her or summoned it. And it's like, how dare you send me against a Christian? Blah blah. Don't you ever do that? Blah blah. And it's just like, wow. And the dude eventually got like deeper into the occult and, actually like went in on like sacrificing human beings and animals and, saw a lot of that stuff. And the thing is with occultism, you don't just get out of it. You get killed. And somehow, I don't remember how he got out of it, but I think he wrote a book and stuff like that. I'd have to try and find it and send it to you. But anyway, it's just one of those stories where it's like, and that's not the only story. I mean, you hear a lot of stories like that of people who were into Satanism or, I should say occultism. And yeah, this stuff's very real, the things they do. But going back to the summoning, like that's something they want to do is they want to be able to bring these spirits from another dimension to control them, to use them for their bidding. You just hear that kind of stuff time and time again. It's about control. Yeah, it's just crazy stuff. Crazy stuff, guys. I'm not sure what the rhyme or reason is for wanting to push this stuff so hard and why they want to bring it into our world, I guess I should say, but it's scary. It's really scary.
Yes, I know. Somebody, Chase Thompson, how you doing, by the way? First time seeing you here. Says, I wonder if the rake was created from creepypasta, which I've heard of a lot, Josh, because everyone started believing in something. It manifested from power of thought. So I don't know.
Sure, Chase. So
what do you think about that?
Mm-hmm. The rake is creepypasta. Like some people talk about the rake, but I think the rake was, created from the sightings and descriptions people have had of what they call crawlers. I think the rake is a bit different, but I think that's essentially. But I've read a lot of encounters people have had and seen of this strange, like pale humanoid thing, or something pale and white, and they make these clicky noises and just stop moving in the woods. It's hard to say for sure. But if everyone starts believing in something and manifested from the power of thought, I can completely see that. If you're in the woods and you're like really thinking about it and you're already like on edge and you think you might hear a noise, but we're talking about situations where people are out with their friends and they see something, that wasn't even on the radar. They didn't even know what the rake was, and something happened. So I see what you're saying, and I would say yes, under certain contexts, it absolutely can be manifested by power of thought. Or at least they thought they saw one. But in situations where people don't even know about it, or they're doing something not even related to that, and then they have an actual experience where they physically see something, man, like I said, I don't think anybody in this field has answers as far as to, we know concretely that this is this, and all of us are just theorizing by all the stories and things we know. It's all, some of us have better theories than others, but that's all they are at the end of the day, just theories.
Right, exactly.
It's
I know. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with you because no one really, only stories, but, they do seem kind of made up, and that's what a lot of people, say about the rake, that there's really no actual proof of them, existing other than creepypasta, stories and stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to see what you thought about that. Thank you, Josh.
Hey, Chase, from Vault of Nightmares, that's the one that Jay Tucker runs. So I got a chance to talk to Jay at the conference. Man, he had a crazy Dogman encounter to share with me that he encountered one that was actually, it jumped down a tree in front of his squad and actually knew military tactics. Like it would stand in front of him so he would crossfire, and every time his team would reassemble, it kept moving in the way of the gun. So that way there would be crossfire. It's crazy, man. And his thought was, Jay's thing is like, he was like, I believe they're military trained to an extent because it knew military tactics. It was intelligent enough to know that. And here I am looking at an 8 foot tall, half man, half wolf. You know, how did it know that? How did it know that? You know? I don't know. I don't know. But, you know, you hear all sorts of stories, too, about, you know, military training, and they run into things, too. And they're told the same thing. Be quiet. Don't say anything to anybody. It didn't happen.
Yes. Somebody mentioned earlier about the DUMS, which is the
DUMS, deep underground military bases.
Yeah.
Yep. There's like, I could be wrong, so somebody correct me if I am. I think there's like 30 to 50 in the country. I could be wrong. I probably am wrong. And there's like 300 globally. And what's the purpose of a DUM? To do things that's completely off the radar, to have 100% control of like whatever they want to do, human sacrifice, human experimentation, anything that is deemed morally wrong, you know, by the eyes of the public, they can get away with doing and testing anything they want without any sort of reprimanding or somebody saying, no, you can't do that. You know, I mean, I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong, but just from my own thinking, if I was military, I would want to have bases set up that I could do that, right? Because we're thinking in the terms of somebody who's completely morally corrupt, not just a person, but a whole stem of things, you know? And so I mean, that's what I would do. I would build DUMs so I could just operate. I would kidnap people. I'll do all those things. So the fact that when people say, no, they wouldn't do that, of course they would. Why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't they do that? You know? Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if, and I've heard all sorts of stuff going on in DUMS, you know, people being captured, and of course I can't give an adequate answer because that's, if you want to hear an actual answer on that, you'd have to like give me like 30 minutes and I can give you like a pretty good rundown, but I'm not going to do it for the sake of this video. But just know that like the missing person in parks thing, that is a deep rabbit hole, and there are many chambers to that rabbit hole, I'm telling you now. In fact, if anyone's like interested in wanting to know more about it, honestly, just get on YouTube. You'll hear more information from that than I can give you, just because there's so much. I guarantee you in 2 hours you'll be able to get more information than I could ever give you. But I'm telling you now, there's information you probably don't want to know. I'm talking about like kids getting kidnapped, like just really dark, disturbing stuff that you may not be ready to hear that you want to hear. There's sometimes I've learned stuff that I'm like, I really wish I didn't know that. Mankind's just really depraved and evil, basically what it comes down to. And there's just some stuff we don't necessarily want to know or need to know. But if you really want to pursue that information, I mean, it's on YouTube. It's out there. So, yeah. DUMS, man.
Yeah.
The bunker deep below.
We just did me and Tom were actually on another podcast. It's called Three Beers Podcast. We just did one this last week, but we did the one before about a month ago, and it was all about that, all about DUMS, all about Area 51, S4, Groom Lake, all that. I mean, we covered all that, and it's crazy, man. Those DUMS, those are crazy because they can keep something in there, or they can keep something out, you know, because they're so deep underground, you know, where you don't know we don't know what's under our feet. You know what I mean? There
supposedly there's
tunnels and cave systems that they can travel through all over the U.S.
Yeah, supposedly there's combinations of things. There's human sacrifice. There's human experimentation. Supposedly they have cryptids there. I've heard stories from people who are I shouldn't say but who have had clearance at some of these DUMS. Of course, they disappeared and died under mysterious circumstances, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not on here to say, well, 100% this is what's happened, but from what I've heard, dinosaurs, zombies, human experimentation, like, you know, it's stuff you're like, what? No way.
Yeah.
I'm just relaying what I've heard, right? So what that would tell me is that they're obviously playing around genetics. They're obviously playing around with, can they revive a human corpse and what way they can.
Or revive dinosaurs, too.
Yeah. They're obviously it's something like they're doing experimentation that would never morally be approved up on the surface. So,
or if they can make a super soldier that looks like a Dogman, that looks like
right,
a
yeah,
werewolf.
they're doing stuff that they are
Very
doing
hard
stuff
to
that
kill. Yeah.
and not only that, but I heard that there's not tunnels, but underground roadways
Yes.
that go from base to base.
Yes.
And I guess
Yes.
Denver Airport is a big one.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's a dumb, but it
Yeah, it's
definitely
built over the
there's something underground the Denver
roads, yeah.
airport. There's a
Hmm.
lot of stuff. And if you think about it, they make light of it at the airport. You know, they'll have like these illustrated like signs that say, "Oh, this is the reptilian breeding ground," you know, and they make
Right.
joke of it. They make light of it. I'm like,
Right.
again, you realize these are psyop tactics to completely just, you know,
Right.
make you think they're doing it, you know. It's like you know, it's like if you're gonna kidnap somebody, you know, going up to them be like, "Oh, I better watch out! I'm gonna kidnap you." You never know, and you're like, "Oh, yeah, you're so funny," and then you do it right.
Yeah.
It's to totally like catch you off guard, and I know that's probably a terrible analogy, but it's to totally like these are all psychological tactics. I don't
Yeah.
think people realize that a lot of this stuff is like these are like the CIA started doing a lot of this stuff back in the '60s when. Kids in cages. Yeah, it's some awful stuff. But a lot of these tactics are stuff the CIA was doing with Charles Manson and I mean, God, like if you guys really want to get into this stuff,
Yeah.
start by
That's it.
start by reading into that, like the Charles
Yeah.
Manson case, and seeing how the
Hmm.
CIA got involved and people are like, what does that have to do with what you're talking about? Well, the tactics they used during that, you know, like the Operation Paperclip and all that stuff, a lot of those same tactics are used nowadays. The discrediting, the making people seem like they're crazy, just so much sleight of hand, uh, maneuvering, excuse me, psychological maneuvering. It's mind-boggling. These are people who know how the human brain works. They know how the majority of people think, and it's so easy to fool people and to make them think one thing and to do the other. I don't think people. And I'm speaking in terms of an overview and generality of all these things. So I'm saying once you understand that and how they could trick people and the psychology behind it and the whole psyops they're doing, you can understand why they're covering things up, why there's such a suppression of information, and
Right.
how they go about suppressing that information, whether it be accosting and threatening people, whether it be discrediting people, making them seem like they're crazy. I mean, you can just go on and on and on and on, and I won't. But I'm just
Right.
kind of giving you guys the bare
Right.
bones. But
Since you mentioned, people they can look up stuff on YouTube. They can look up, like somebody mentioned, Phil Snyder. He was another guy that exposed a lot of stuff from the government.
they took him out, buddy.
Yeah, they took him out.
Yeah, people say, "Well, Phil Snyder." I'm like, listen.
They suicided him. That's what they
Yeah,
call it.
like listen, like I'm not claiming Phil Snyder's anything. I'm just saying that it's just really interesting that he comes out, shares potentially sensitive information, and that they took him out. That he
took him out.
even if he killed himself,
That made him look
you know,
like
you're
he
like the
killed
whole
himself.
situation.
They
It's just
did it.
weird, man. It's like okay, like if you just isolate that situation, if his information didn't mean anything, why would he have suddenly killed himself?
Right.
Why would they have taken him out?
And he even said, if I die, just know it was them. It wasn't me. I have no suicidal thoughts whatsoever.
Yeah. Well,
He
you know,
said it.
it's. I'll say this: connect that case to the JF Kennedy thing, right?
Right.
Like, there's a lot of strange stuff that happened around there. Reporters getting killed, suddenly committing suicide of information they knew. What's his face getting shot on live TV? I mean, it's just like people. A lot of people they just don't get it, man. They don't connect the dots. And I'm sure I sound like a huge conspiracy theorist, and I'm not. I'm just saying, just start connecting the evidence and
Yeah.
looking at
Yeah. It all ties.
just from a
It
skeptical
all
point of
ties in
view.
together. Yes.
Yeah, and just like why are these things happening? You should ask questions. You should
Right.
question things.
Question
and so that's
everything.
just me. I'm thinking like, well, why? Like, so you kind of naturally your conclusion kind of gets pushed over here. And I'm not saying anything concretely. I'm just saying it's just these are bizarre circumstances. And I'm thinking like, in my mind, if I was trying to hide and suppress information, these are the things I would do.
Right.
And so if that's how I think, and I'm like, why wouldn't they be doing the same thing? Well, yeah, they are doing the same thing. So what are they trying to hide and suppress?
Right.
You know,
Right.
of course you'd want to kill people and keep them quiet if you're doing hiding stuff. You know, this is all sleight of hand. These are all psyop tactics. So why are they doing this stuff? Don't know. They're trying to keep quiet about something, you know, and that. So in a way, it's kind of like one big board. You know what I mean? Like you have that up here, You connect the whole Bigfoot, Dogman, LBO, all this other stuff, and it all connects. It's all one big suppression of information. But the golden question that everyone who watches our content, who we all cover the stuff, you, me, everybody, why? That is the big question. Why? Why do they want this information suppressed? Right. Nobody knows. We don't know. Of course, like supposed whistleblowers will come out and say things, but I don't know. No, right. Nobody knows, and that's the the $1 million question that a lot of us theorize, and some of us think that it's the Nephilim, others think that that there's the whole demon alien thing to it. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, there's just so many possibilities that what they can be. They could be demonic, they could be flesh and blood, they can be supernatural. They could be a lot of things, and I think it's a combination of everything, really, man. Because you can't just say and point your finger at one thing and say that's what it is. No, you can't do that. There's many possibilities that that they could be, not just one. You know what I mean? And I agree with you completely with everything what you just said. So, I have a question from Ant Rocks. He says, "Does Lurks Beneath?" Well, Josh. Think Bigfoot or Dogman have binocular vision?
Not that I've heard of.
No?
Yeah, not that I've ever heard of. If so, that's new. I'd be curious to look into that more.
That's a very good question because I've actually never looked into that. Actually, Ant Rocks, thank you for that question. I've actually never looked into that. I've heard people say yes. I've heard people say, that they've never seen that. But that's a very, very good question about the binocular vision because there are some. We know there's a lot of animals or natural animals that do have binocular vision, like eagles and like birds of prey and maybe even like the big cats or something. Where they see at night and they got to zoom into a prey that's maybe half a mile away or something like that. So, yeah, I don't think that's very far-fetched, man. I think that is a good possibility, actually.
And that's kind of like part of like why I do what I do. Like I said, I have to be really careful what I say and like the content that I cover because I can't be like too open about certain kind of information. I do that purposefully. But I was one of the reasons why I always try to ask, why and and try to come up with a conclusion of like, what do you guys think? I leave it to you guys because if I'm like, well, if it's this and this and this, I may attract the wrong kind of people, So and that doesn't necessarily mean that every single thing I cover that I'm like, oh, I 100% believe is this and this. A lot of times it's interesting to me. That's why I cover it, and it just makes me think, what if?
Right.
In fact, the more I do the content that I do,
the more
it makes me realize there's far more out there.
Yeah.
And it's just like
absolutely,
especially with all the national parks, man. That seems to be a whole.
Yes.
That seems to be a whole.
Organization.
I don't know what whole conundrum.
Yeah.
Just from missing persons to just the sightings and sounds and the occult activity. It's weird, man. There's just a lot of stuff going on in places and it seems to be tied into national forests and parks and. I wish there were more explanations for it, but
hey, did you get a chance? Did you get a chance to meet Joe and Jesse from Hellbent Holler? I know that they were at the conference. Did you get a chance to meet them?
I saw Jesse and I saw Joe, but I didn't get a chance to talk to him because there's so much conversation going on.
Right.
And then I guess he reached out to me afterwards. He's like, dude, I wish we could have like met. He's like, me and my wife are huge fans. Like, really? That's weird. Okay. Like, that's cool. And, anyway, I'm like, dude, we should do a show sometime. Like, let's do something together. And so he freaked out. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, like, why not? That'd be cool. And so, I've heard nothing but good things about their show. I've kind of like briefly checked it out. Seems pretty cool.
Yeah. They're awesome, dude. They got great evidence and tons of footage on LBL. They cover LBL very, very nice with cameras and daytime, nighttime, everything.
Have they found anything yet?
No, they just have found like abandoned really like bunkers there. Yeah, that's abandoned buildings, abandoned vehicles, buses, stuff like that. But yeah,
buses and vehicles. What?
Yeah, buses on the side, just left there, just abandoned.
That means something's going on.
Yeah, and actually they did one where they found a tent, which was like a fresh tent. It wasn't there for many years, nothing. It was like a fresh tent. Somebody just camping out there, but no sign of where they went. They just left like a couple of jeans and shirt and shoes, and there's no sign of where they went, if they disappeared or went missing or what. But yeah, they have
Weird.
great video footage, man, of LBL. I really like watching their stuff, Joe and Jesse. I think
I'd
they're
hate
gonna
to be
do. They're
camping out there at
working on a new
nighttime, man.
one.
You could not
Yeah,
write a check big enough to have me go out
no,
there by myself and camp there at
I
night.
know,
No way, bro.
I know, bro. I don't know how they do it. They're just out there alone, like there's no, park rangers, nothing. It's just them out there alone with flashlights and big video cameras and such. But yeah, it's crazy, dude. I don't know how they work up the courage to go out there at nighttime like that.
And it's crazy is that you even hear the same thing from like some like these like hardcore guys, who've seen a lot of violence. They fought a lot. They've done a lot. Like gangbangers and stuff. Even then, they're like, yeah, nope, I won't touch it. I won't do it. They're like,
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of man, but these things aren't man. You know, it's like, gosh, man. It, like I said, I'm a little nervous about doing the whole Bigfoot thing. I really am. I've had supernatural experiences before, but this is like a whole new thing. And when even Barton's like, yeah, like just make sure like you have a weapon, be safe. Um, like just give me the rundown. I feel like he's like taking me into like a lion territory. And he's like, oh yeah, these things are very real. Like I hate dealing with them, but I'll deal with it because of you. And it's like,
Right.
oh my gosh, like. Anyway, Josh Cutchin. I don't think that guys know who Cutchin is.
Uh huh.
he he's another big author, but he's gonna do it with us, and even he's kind of freaked out too because I'm like, oh gosh, like we're gonna have. So what I'm hoping is I can actually have an experience, then get to talk about it, and so we'll be doing like a live while I'm there with Barton and Cutchin, so people can ask questions, and so yeah.
Right.
Has Mr. Lurks
Right.
had any Dogman encounters in my stomping grounds, California? I don't know where your stomping grounds are, buddy, but I know there's a lot of good encounters in California. I will say that.
Mhm. They are.
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
and there's another one that says, okay, yeah. He's in Northern California.
Me?
No,
Oh, him.
yeah, Ant
Yeah.
Rocks. He's in
Ant
San
Rocks. The only thing I
Francisco.
know about
San
Northern Cali
Francisco
for
area.
sure
Hmm.
is that the natives used to call the Bigfoot there mountain devils because they'd come in at night and raid their villages and take their women and children. So
Right,
there's some really aggressive, violent Bigfoot there, from
right.
what I've heard, which is pretty terrifying.
Josh, have you
So,
ever heard of the Ozark Howler?
yep, yep.
That's in Arkansas. That's where Todd T's from. He just posted that the other day on one of
Oh,
our
dude, I'd,
groups.
I'd move, Todd. No
Ozark.
thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man, I
no
know.
thanks. I don't want to be any part of that.
I know that.
What it is, I don't know. It could be a dogman. I don't know. People ask me these kind of things all the time. Like, dude, what's your opinion? I don't know, man. Like, I'm like you. I can only speculate. It's terrifying. I'll
Right,
agree with you there. I'm scared out of my mind, but
right.
I don't know, man. I wish I had answers. I will say this. I've got enough stories that there's definitely something out there. I've heard audio clips where you can hear it, and it doesn't sound like a fox. It doesn't sound like a coyote. It's its own thing, and it's creepy. It's creepy. It doesn't help that the woods are so dense and thick down there,
Right.
bro.
Yeah, I know.
Chase, I love that fish you caught, buddy. I don't know what it is. I can't really see it from here, but that's a nice catch, man. Very cool. I love.
Oh,
I'd love to do more fishing. I don't really ever fish. My father-in-law is trying to get to bring me on to do more. I've just been so busy I haven't had the time, but I'd love to do some fishing. Like around here, we got a lot of smallmouth bass and um, king salmon and choho salmon or coho salmon. I think coho salmon. Anyway, one of them. But yeah, I'd love to do more.
yeah.
I seen that picture. I'm like, oh, makes me want to do it.
Hey Josh, Aunt Ross was asking me like where you were from. You're from Tennessee. I was telling you you're from Tennessee, but what have you heard around the area, main area where you live? Have you heard anything going on there?
Bigfoot,
Like,
mainly lots of Bigfoot, occult activity. In fact,
mm,
so I live in Klickitat County. Klickitat County is the strictly numbers base, the poorest county in Washington State. And I think that's primarily because it's very rural. It's very open range. It's not really city at all. There's a lot of. It's not like the city, where there's a lot of high jobs. It's a small farming community. I wouldn't say farming, but small ranching community, small old town, a lot of old people. So like that makes sense. There's also not a lot of like work opportunities. But with that said, because of that, there's also a lot of mountains. So like around here, you have what's called the Simcoe Mountains. And the Simcoe Mountains and Mount Adams, which are, I wouldn't say close by, but within eye's reach, there's a lot of weird stuff going on, man. A lot of like UFO sightings, time anomalies, occult activity. In fact, the county next to us, Skamania County, there's apparently a lot of human sacrifice. I'm talking like baby sacrifice. A lot of occult, a lot of just evil, a lot of Satanism. I have family that have stories of seeing things. In fact, a girl that my wife went to school with, she was kidnapped, and they basically took her baby. And when I say take her baby, they basically kidnapped her, impregnated her, kept her impregnated, and then she had her baby, and they sacrificed it to Satan. And this stuff goes on. And she is, to put it as nicely as I can, she's pretty effed up from the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
Turned into a complete drug addict. I mean, I can only imagine trying to deal with that trauma. And of course, she was. I got to be careful what I say on your YouTube because I don't want to get you flagged. But she was RAPED repeatedly over and over, tortured, abused. These are evil, evil people. And so we're talking. Like I said, we're talking about people who are genuinely into occultism and human sacrifice. They do this. That's just what they. Those are the things they do. And so there's a lot of that in Skamania County. In fact, my father-in-law shared with me a story about one of his friends who was a UPS driver. He got lost on one of these roads, went back, and he said he came to an area where there's like a whole field where there's a big fire and there's like 20 people in robes around it doing something. And he immediately got this feeling like he needs to leave now. And they all turned and noticed him and started walking towards his truck, and he got out of there. And so he told my father-in-law, he's like, man, it wasn't just like a bunch of kids. I got a bad feeling like I need to go now. So he says, I don't know what they were doing. This is in broad daylight. It wasn't like it was at nighttime. It was broad daylight they were doing this. So anyway, yeah, Skamania's got a lot of stuff going on. But again, this is all over the country. You hear like those same kind of things, like Mount Shasta in California. Same thing. A lot of stuff like that going on. Mount Adams, a lot of occult activity. So anyway, to tie it all together, I don't even remember what the original question was. I'm sorry. There's stuff going around all around our community.
Right.
Yeah. And while I've never had a cryptid encounter myself, this whole area that I'm in has some pretty like weird supernatural stuff, man. Yeah, it is a lot more common than we realize. Yeah, I've heard people say who are actually in the occult. They say, like, you won't even recognize us. Some of us are your teachers. Some of us are work at your post office. Some of us even deliver your mail. You would never even know us because we look just like regular people. But, at nighttime or at this time, we do what we do. We're a part of this thing. So Whispers is right about that. Yeah. And I've heard that from people who are ex-occultism or ex... yeah, I guess ex-occult, yeah, who are into that. Yeah, they also do the same thing too. You would never know. They play it off pretty well. It's scary is what it is. It's very scary.
Wow.
I hope that answers that question.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, people might hear that like, well, that's crazy. Listen, I'm not claiming to know everything. Listen, what I encourage you to do, if you don't believe me, that's great. Just do your own research, man. Like, just get on Google and start looking into this stuff. You prove to yourself, That's all I'm going to say. It's just eerie when you hear about a lot of this stuff going on, And every time you hear about it, some of these ex-occult people are like, yeah, that's us. Yeah, we do that. Yep.
Yeah. There's another question from Aunt Rock says, hey, Lurks, have you heard about the Rebobs in Napa, California? I'm sorry. Patrick.
Yes. The devil monkeys.
Yeah.
Very few, but yeah, I've heard about them. I couldn't tell you much about them, but yeah, that's a whole other thing. That's something I encourage you guys to Google more of because I don't know too much about them. But yeah, right. I have heard of them. It's crazy stuff, man.
Yes, it is, man. Wow. Hey, Josh, so like on a more personal level,
yeah,
like your immediate family, who Who else knows about Bigfoot, Dogman, or whatever? Or have you talked to anybody? Maybe your small circle of personal friends,
So
maybe.
my yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, hold on a second. There we go. No wonder I was getting all thrown off. I was watching the YouTube thing, and
Hmm.
I'm like, what you're saying isn't matching like what I'm seeing visually. I'm like, oh, I wasn't
Oh.
watching the StreamYard. um,
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah. So my actual dad has had an encounter with the skunk ape, or what he believes to be the skunk ape. Long
Hmm.
story short, he was out in the Everglades in the 1970s, and they heard something really big out in the dark, ripping in the mango groves. And they got there the next morning, and they could hear it, or they heard it, and there's like a branch about this big that was ripped off the tree. And of course, people could say, well, black bear or cougar, but I'm like, people. I'm sorry, my dogs are directly above me, and
Oh,
so they
okay.
might be going crazy, guys. I
Yeah, that's
apologize.
fine. That's
Um,
good.
what am I trying to say now? And then, oh yeah, and so then that same day, my uncle Dominic went out into he went in to explore, and he found a horse with its head ripped off in a field right near that area. And then he believes he found the den of it. Unfortunately, he's not alive, so I can't ask him more questions. But yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
just crazy, crazy stuff. And then my father-in-law, um, where I live in the Columbia Gorge, there's a place in Skamania County called Home Valley, and Home Valley is like it kind of goes up into the mountains a little bit. And he was there with a buddy, and hears this and he turns to his friend and he goes, "Did you hear that?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "That was a squatch." He's like, "We gotta go." And where he
Wow.
was at, he's on top of a ridge, and this thing was probably about like 200 feet down into the forest, and it yelled at them. It was like an irritated yell. He describes like, "Get out of here! This is my territory." Scared the heck out of him. He says it was loud. It was loud.
Wow.
And when you hear it, people are like, well, that way, it could have been like, no, you got to stop. Not everything can be rationalized. And everyone's so quick to do that. But I'm like, there's just situations in life you just got to like, not everything can be explained. But I get it. The human brain tries to process and rationalize everything. Otherwise, we can't comprehend it, you know? I get
Right.
it. But
Right.
it scared him. He's a believer. He's been elk hunting on Mount Adams before, and he's had things following him. It was one time he'd explain to me, he's like, I saw something big was paralleling me in the woods. He never
Hmm.
saw what it was, but there was something on two legs following him. And he's deep in there, man. He's deep in there.
Right.
He's like, I go to places nobody else goes to. And so he's like, I don't know what it was. He's like, but it's freaked me out. And I said, man, in fact, he's going to take me into a place on Mount Adams that he calls it Voodoo Camp.
Mm.
And he's like, yeah, I'll take you down there. And I'm like, what's there? He's like, I don't know. He's like, it just feels different. There's just this energy down there that just,
Hmm.
it's not right. I'm
Right.
like, I need to go to this place. It's like,
Yep.
it's just creepy stuff, man. Of course, it's on
Yeah.
Mount Adams, the
Yeah.
same place with rituals and sacrifices. Oh, that's nice. I spit all over my beard. The
Hmm.
same place with, UFOs and time anomalies and all this other stuff.
Right.
So, yeah,
Right.
just strange stuff.
Now, let me ask you this: have you ever met anybody that, from your encounters that you've narrated, have you ever met in person, like an eyewitness?
No,
No.
unfortunately not. A lot of people, they just want to submit their stuff, and they just
Yeah.
want to churn and dump it.
Hmm.
That's about as far as they want to take it.
Right.
And I get it. They really don't want to be on camera, because that's a complaint that I've got before. Is people say, well, how come you don't get anybody on camera? How come you don't get this? How come you don't get that?
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm not those people. I don't know. I think a lot of them, they just want to. They're not interested in being on the phone. And I've actually got quite a few people who do want to talk on the phone.
Hmm.
Um, but to be honest, I just don't have the time to sit and have a 3-hour conversation with all these people and then retell their story. So I'm just like, just submit it, just write it out and submit it. So, but as far as actually having people on the show, yeah, I haven't got too many people wanting to do that, other than like a few here and there. But that's been pretty rare.
Right. So they just rather tell you their encounters and have you tell them for them, right? I mean, they really don't want to like meet you in person or be on camera in person. Have you ever thought about like doing that
Do
on
what?
your channel, having somebody come on there live with you,
It's funny you mentioned that. I just had an
or no?
episode where I brought my dad on,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, he
Wow.
tells his whole story,
Mm-hmm.
um, for about 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Any one of you guys, I don't know if you've seen it. You can go check it out right now. It's my latest episode. Yeah, and
Okay.
that was actually brought on by the whole Joe thing. After that, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should bring my dad on. And he's not actually on camera, but I sat down with him at his house. I put up a microphone. I'm like, just tell your story. I interviewed him, of course, and he basically told me his whole story dealing with the Ouija board and the whole thing he had in Colorado. I mean, just crazy. And he actually got to tell a story, and people love it. So I think I may do that more, where I interview a witness. And so,
because you know what, it brings out a lot more when the actual eyewitness is there telling it on camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It brings it a lot more, dude. Like,
yeah,
a lot of people will be like, "Whoa, I gotta see that."
Yeah, when people hear that, they're just like, "What? This is crazy," you know? And it becomes this whole other thing. So it's nuts. Whoops, I'm gonna go back. Here we go. All right, guys. I'm going to take one more, let's do one more question because it's about 7 o'clock my time. I got to go here really soon.
Yeah.
So let's do one more. You can do a nice big question.
Okay. Cool. Let me see if I have any any questions.
Or if you want to ask something.
Right. Well, my good buddy, William Nighthawk, High Strangeness, just popped in. Do you have a question for Josh that you might want to ask, Nighthawk? Since you just got here, buddy. And Abe just got here too. Kind of late, but okay, you just got here, Abe. Do you have any questions for Josh, Abe, as well? Because we're fixing to wrap it up, man. Josh has to go here in just a few minutes, so we're gonna take one more question, and then we're gonna have to wrap it up, guys. But man, it's been awesome. It's been awesome. Thank you, Josh. Everybody's everybody's stoked that you were here tonight, man. As well as I have.
What's cool is I'm always down to do others too. This doesn't have to be the only one, you know? So I always tell people, I'm like, man, listen, I don't have any clout in my head where I'm like, I'm at a certain stage, I can't interview people. Dude, I don't care if you have one follower, no follower. It doesn't matter. I'm like, if I like you, I'll come on your show. Like, I don't care. I just love hanging out.
Right.
So,
that's
me, man.
Absolutely.
Ask away.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to have a burning question they've always wanted to know.
Yeah.
What products do you use?
Yeah. What kind of gear do you use? What kind of software do you use?
All right. I guess I can answer that while someone comes with a question.
Okay.
So this is going to be more of a techie thing. So if you guys aren't into tech, it might bore you to sleep. So right here, right off camera, I'm touching it right now. I use an SMB57 or SMB7 microphone. I have it going into a Nikon Z7 II camera right there. I got my stand right there. They're off screen big, and I have a monitor here, and here. I use an Army Babyface. I have that going into a converter and a Neve preamp.
You have multiple cameras because I've seen multiple angles.
No, I just had this one camera on me. I could sit at multiple cameras, but I don't know. And then back here, you can't see it, but I have a, I guess you call it fill light, and that's what you're seeing spill onto me. It's actually slightly angled with a blanket over it. And I have a red LED light that's directly behind me. It's actually like right here. And that's giving the back. I have one of the same ones. It's actually right here. You can kind of see it in some of the episodes.
That's nice.
It's the same thing too. Right? Add background, and then I have a light right here.
Gives it that red background look. Yeah.
It's really moody.
Nice.
Yeah. I had it blue for a while, then I decided to change it. So
yes.
In a nutshell, you know.
Yeah. Okay, well, we got one more question right here. This is from Nighthawk. He says, Carlito, we've been watching the entire time. Good job. Thank you, Nighthawk, for that. And he says, what do you think about the native connection?
Oh, that's a good question, Nighthawk. That's cool, brother.
Nighthawk is native, bro. He's Native American.
Let's see. How do I want to approach that? Because that's such a good question.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a simply answered one. Well, I think there's definitely a lot. Well, okay. Hold on. I'm not thinking about how I want to answer this. What do you think about the native connection? Well, okay. I'll say this first and foremost. Almost every single tribe. Actually, I want to say I think about every tribe from the Inuits up in Alaska to, down like the Aztecs and stuff like that. I mean, we're going all the way down. Every single, even your people, man, like Latinos and stuff like that, Mexicans. Everybody has stories of the supernatural. Why is that? And I don't mean just ghosts. I'm talking about beings, entities, Bigfoot, Dogman. People are like, well, those are just legends.
Mm-hmm.
I get that, but how is it that you have all these tribal members talking about it? They know about it. And you think about these are people who spend time in the woods. They spend their whole life in their area, and they all have stories. Everyone, and I I don't know. I think, in my opinion, the native tribes, especially native tribes, are to me probably the biggest proof point of beings existing, because everyone has stories that they're all willing to either talk about it or not talk about it. But I've not met a single native who especially who's involved with their tribe or involved on the reservation, that doesn't have a story, or that I've never heard them say like, "Oh yeah, Bigfoot doesn't exist. That's a farce." No, I've talked to so many. They're like, "Oh yeah, Bigfoot hit my trailer." Yeah, there's certain places you don't go in the woods because he's there. Elders, people who are young, they all have stories, and I find that it's disturbing. You know, everything from the Yakima up here when I'm in Washington down to like the Chickasaw and the Choctaw, like Oklahoma, Texas, over in the like the Seminole on like the East Coast. They all got flipping stories of these things, and not just Bigfoot, but Dogman, Alligator Man, this and that thing, Thunderbirds. It's just on and on and on. The Algonquin, you know, they talk about the Wendigo and all. It's just there's just so much crap. So I thought my phone went off. There's just so much crap that we don't know about that they do. And they're very serious about it. They don't want to talk about it. And if they do talk about it, they're very like, don't go looking for this stuff. It's real. We know about it. We've known about it for a long time.
Centuries and centuries.
Yeah, these beings, all of them have been here for years and years and years and years. And we know as a tribe and people, there's certain areas of the woods or whatever environment they're in that you don't go because it's their territory. There's certain things you don't do because you don't want to make yourself a target. And it's amazing to me how many people in modern day society like look at that and they scoff like, oh, then we would have proof. Blah, blah, blah. When you're dealing with things that are potentially in the supernatural spectrum, you're trying to encapsulate this idea of these things in just this little box that like, well, we can't get it on camera, so that must mean it not exist. You're dealing outside the realm of that. It's like trying to capture a ghost on camera. So if I can't capture a spirit or some sort of entity that's beyond this physical plane on camera, that mean it must mean it not exist. Why don't you tell all the people who've ever had an NDA? For those that don't know, that's a near-death experience where they usually go out of their body, they experience seeing God, heaven, and hell. Right? That's basically an NDA. Near-death experience. You tell them that their experience isn't true because they weren't able to, to put it to a camera. It's just like, come on, people. Like, there's just sometimes there's things in life that are just beyond our realm of science and understanding, and people can't comprehend that. Now, that's one tangent of the question, right? The other part is the connection, right? So what is the native connection here? Well, if we're talking in terms of like skinwalkers and shapeshifters, obviously that there are certain people in tribes who are magic practitioners who will practice just like a lot of normal people who are in the occult. They practice black art that includes human sacrifice. It includes blood pacts and blood rituals. It includes dealing with darkness and dealing with dark entities, usually making personal sacrifices in order to gain what? Power. What does that look like? Shape-shifting. Power to control certain beings and things, power to hex people, power to curse people, power to gain wealth and authority, right? These are all things that entertain our human state, like our flesh, like like lust for greed, lust for power. That's why a lot of these people make deals with these demons, right? In exchange for power. Of course, they sell their soul, but in exchange they get the power to shapeshift and to do evil and do whatever they got to do. That's why they got to make these sacrifices, like kill somebody close to them or kill a loved one. It's just. You see this stuff, like constant continuity of this stuff. I know I'm like going off here, but
no.
I'm trying to like give you guys a lot of information.
Yeah,
honestly, it's a great question, man. A Nighthawk, that's a cool name. It's a really good question.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's multiple tangents to that question, and so I'm trying to think what's the way I could summarize. I'm trying to think what's the way I could summarize the native connection. I guess maybe with everything I've said, that I guess that is the native connection. Is that all these tribes, literally from Yakima all the way down to the Seminole, right? Washington to Florida, everything in between, they all have stories. From shapeshifters, Bigfoot, Dogman, Thunderbird, Alligator Man, this man, that thing. There's things in the ocean. There's things in the water. There's things in the skies. They talk about spirits. They talk about entities. It's not always about cryptids, right? It's just on and on. And anyone out there who's like, well, that's nonsense. I don't believe it. Why don't you go and spend some time with these people? You're not challenging me. You're challenging their beliefs. Like, go spend time with some of the people who are actually involved in the tribe, who live on the reservation, and just talk. And a lot of these, they're scared. In fact, we have a family friend who's Navajo. He's full-blooded Navajo. and his parents actually live down on the res. I don't know why he's up here. I don't remember. I think he moved up here when he was young, and he decided to stay. Anyway, he's married to a good friend of my wife's, and so I talk to him sometimes. But I asked him about the skinwalker. I'm like, so are they real? And he's like, he's like, yeah. He's like, there's, yeah, well, kind of briefly, but he's like, I can tell you whatever you want. He's like, but again, he acknowledged it. He was like, oh yeah, no, that's a creepypasta. No, he's like, there's times at night, he's like, you do not want to go out and light side your cigarette. But I thought it was all fake. I thought you can't capture it on camera. You know, it's like, no, like, again, it's that continuity of like, he's got a story, or if he doesn't have a story, he acknowledges, yeah, my people are afraid of them. Like there is stuff going on. People don't want to. Anyway, I feel like that's probably the most rapid fire going off tangent I could do to encapsulate that. But again, that's a great question. Yes. But yeah, in my opinion, that is the native connection. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. I went out with the bang.
Yeah, man, that was great. And actually, I saw that in your channel that Navajo are the tribe that mostly does not like to talk about skinwalkers. I saw that.
Well,
like, wow,
I'll add this real quick. So, skinwalkers are Navajo specific. Like that is a Navajo exclusive thing. Now there is the practice of shape shifting among other tribes, but the act of being a skinwalker, that is specifically a skinwalker thing, or a Navajo tradition. Again, like there are black magic practitioners and other tribes that shapeshift and that I have many stories of that, but they're not called skinwalkers. Skinwalkers has now kind of become like an umbrella catch-all term for someone who's evil and can shapeshift because of that. Right. So, but I should add that. I should add that in there just so people can have that knowledge. It's the same thing like with the Wendigo up north in the Algonquin, right? Same thing too. That they deal with the Wendigo thing, and there's many other creatures and cryptids and spirits and entities they deal with other than just those things. But guys, honestly, I just encourage you all, if you have a hunger for this stuff, just get on YouTube. Just start, like, this is the reason I know all this stuff. I would do the same thing. I'd get on YouTube at nighttime, and I would just binge watch and counter show after this show after, and I would absorb so much information. I did it for years. And I'd play video games or do whatever, you know, from like 8 a.m. to like 4 in the morning and just like put this stuff on the background. And afterwards, I'm just like, my God, you know, because it's like your mind is just blown by the stuff that goes on, you know. Anyway.
No, absolutely, bro. I mean, I completely relate to that because I've done that for years too.
Your people too, man.
Yeah.
Are you from Mexico? Is that where your family's from?
My family, yeah. They're from the Aztec part of Mexico, which is Mexico.
Dude, you go down there, you start talking to them. I guarantee you won't find one like, yeah, that's the paranormal. That doesn't exist. They're like,
they know all about
stories.
It.
So why is it that our Western culture is so atheistic in that, you know, in that, like, it's so weird, man. It is so strange. We've somehow clung on to this idea that, well, science should be able to describe everything. That, like, it doesn't. And that's the part that's so hard for people to understand. I don't know why. It just, you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy stuff, buddy.
And everything like what you just mentioned, Josh, about people, you know, doing their research like that. I've done that for many, many years. That's how I know so much about, you know, cryptids and I've looked into other things too, like you know, like UFOs and Area 51, all that, you know, crime stories, you know, all that spectrum, like everything you mentioned, I've looked into for many years. So there's a lot of stuff that I know that I've never said on camera because it just doesn't relate to what I'm talking about or having the subject on. So, but yeah, that's a great way to do research, like you said. Just, you know, binge watch.
Best way, man.
Shows after shows after shows. You know, I mean, it's and you'll learn a lot. Believe me, a lot.
Right, and it's not just encounter stories. Like I feel like encounters are a great part of it. Because even though you think if some are fake, you listen to so many that there's some that are real, and then you start to listen to other things, and you start to draw connections, right? Like, oh well, okay, okay, oh I see it, man. Oh, okay, it's weird, you know. You start having that like, oh, and everything interconnects. It's weird, man. And everything. The more I'm in this topic, the more I study, the more I listen to, the more I'm a firm believer in the supernatural. You know,
Yes,
I really
yes.
am. And I have people who comment and they say, "Well, the supernatural doesn't exist." And I'm like, you're on the wrong channel, bro.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool. Like, you're entitled to your opinion 100%. Like, I'm not
Right.
going to bash you for that, but
Right.
I would just be like, I would open your mind a little more, but they think it's silly. It
Yes.
is what it is. So
Yes. Yes.
it is what it is, man. All right. Anyway,
Absolutely.
buddy,
Okay.
I got to
Well,
take
thank you.
off. It's 7:20. I've had a pleasure. I
Yes.
love all you guys. It's been a
Man.
blast. We got to do it again.
And I'm still so stoked about this interview tonight, man. Thank you very much, Josh.
Oh, dude,
Thank you,
it was an
brother.
honor. It was an
Hey,
honor,
from the
dude.
heart,
Thank
bro.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
And I can't wait to start our journey, me and you, man. Me doing the voiceover for your show in Spanish.
Dude, I can't wait, man.
I can't wait to see that, bro.
We're gonna reach a lot of people.
Yeah, in Latin America. Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
we'll let everybody know once we start, putting the shows out there in Spanish. But yeah, we'll let everybody know. Thank you guys, and thank you everybody that showed up tonight. Thank you very much, people in the chat. Thank you, each and every one of you, man. You know, I love you guys, but I had Josh on here, and I had to listen to everything he had to say. So that's why that's why I wasn't doing too much talking tonight, Josh, because I normally do a lot more talking, but not tonight,
Really?
brother. Yeah, but not tonight. I wanted to hear you, man. And see
I
what
just go off, man.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, bro. I think everybody loved it. As a matter of fact, everybody like, wow, man, dude, like Josh is so knowledgeable and man, wow. Josh knows so much.
I appreciate that, you guys. You're all awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out and chilling. That's the best.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, Aunt Rock says, yeah, come back, Josh. Yeah, hell yeah, man. We're gonna have to set something up for Josh to come back.
Dude, you're on my Messenger, man.
Yes,
and honestly,
yes.
I guys, anybody out there, I'm very open. If you want to hit me up on Messenger and just like chit chat,
yeah, man.
Dude, don't be a stranger. I love to hang out and talk, So
yeah, somebody said that, and I wanted to say that too, man. You're such a down to earth kind of guy, bro. You know what I mean?
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're not blown up in your head, even with your how many subscribers you have? Thousands and thousands of subscribers, Josh. How many do you have
right now?
What do you at, like 75,000 or something like that?
326.
326. Wow, that's insane, dude. 326,000.
It's a decent size. Cause you know why? In my head, I'm thinking like once you hit 1 million, like that's a big channel. Like that's big. But I'm like 300. Like I mean that's decent, right? But to a lot of people, like that's a lot of flipping people. Yeah. I guess so. It's just pixels on a screen, though. Yeah. I'm just a regular guy. Like I just like to hang out, talk to people.
Right.
I'm one of those guys. I don't buy my own bull crap. Right. And there are some guys that get to like 20,000 subs. They're like, I only do interviews, with like 100,000 followers. I'm kind of a big deal in my community. It's like, dude, come on. No one's buying it. Come on, bro. I'm not going to name their name, right. But I legit had a person who told me they only go on shows with 100,000 people or more a few months ago when I wanted to interview them. And so I was like, sorry, So anyway, yeah, if you guys ever want to like reach out to me, talk to me, hang out, whatever. Yeah. I'm not, don't be a stranger. You can just hit me up on Facebook. I mean, yeah.
Josh is a humble guy, man. I love him to death, man.
Oh, thank you, buddy. Love you too, man.
Yeah, man. And we'll keep in touch, Josh, me and you, about the translation and all that, bro, the voiceover and all that. Okay.
Sounds good, buddy. I'd love to hear it.
Okay.
All right, man. I got to take off. Love you all. Thank you guys for hanging out. Peace.
All right. Good night, Josh.
Take care, guys.
Appreciate you, brother. Oh, man, what a show. That was great, man. That was awesome. I hope you guys liked that, man, because that was a very special treat for me, having one of my favorite narrators since I started looking into the Dogman and Cryptid. About, like 5 years now, straight. Just been watching Dogman and all types of cryptids. Yeah, he's a great guy, man. Wow. I hope you guys liked it. I've seen all the comments, and it was awesome, guys. Thank you. Thank you all for being here tonight, for supporting, for commenting, for bringing up your great questions. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate that. And, I love each and every one of you from the heart. And thank you, guys. Y'all made it such a great an epic show tonight. Thank you. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Abe, Whispers TV. Thank you so much, Laura at Rocks. Man, thank y'all. Thank y'all. I'm really stoked right now. I'm still stoked, man, that I had Josh on here tonight. You know what I mean? It's like, wow. I was like, I'm still, I can't still believe it. But it is, it did happen. I might have to pinch myself or something. But yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, man. Thank y'all, everyone, and I'm really glad y'all enjoyed the show, man. Like I told Josh, man, I really didn't want to talk tonight because I wanted to let him talk tonight. I know you guys know me. I normally talk a lot more than I did tonight. So, yeah, thank you, Laura. Yeah, man. Uh, honestly, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to top this one. It's gonna be a while before I get somebody else like Josh on here, but it's all right though. Yeah, I enjoy every one of my guests. There's nobody better than anybody else. It's just some are special because, like me, like I said, I followed him for so long, about 4 years now, and I never thought I'd get to meet him, and especially not interview him, which happened tonight. So. Yeah, thank you, Whispers TV. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yes, he is very knowledgeable, Abe. Very, very knowledgeable, man. I know you got here a little late, Abe, because I know you go out on Saturday nights and Sunday nights too with the family. But if you can, man, go back and watch the whole uh, interview, bro. It's awesome, awesome. Wow, I'm a loss of words right now. But thank you all. Thank you, Whispers. Thank you very much. Well done. Thank you. Thank y'all. Thank you. Each and every one of y'all, man. Like I said, I never get tired of thanking everybody, that supports me, my show, my Facebook page, whatever. I'm just a regular guy, and I like to get people, good eyewitnesses and good guests on here for great questions and find out what they're all about and eyewitnesses what they've seen, what they've encountered, and great narrators and podcasters like Josh tonight. See what they think on the cryptid subjects and stuff, right? See what their input is on that. So yeah, thank you, everybody. Gonna have trouble sleeping tonight, bro, huh? Yeah, man. Thank you, Shane. Good night, brother. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Yes, yes, yes. All these other great people who joined in the chat. Yes, thank you, Shane, for that, man. I appreciate you, bro, Hannah. See y'all. See you on the next one, bro, Hannah. Thank you, man. And let me know when you're doing the next show, so I'll be there. I'll make sure to be there. You and Tom, y'all my bros, man. I gotta be there for y'all, man. But yeah, okay. Now we need his knowledge on aliens too. Yes, we need to talk about aliens next time, Laura. When I bring him back, yes, it's just so many things to talk about. I know I wasn't gonna have time for everything tonight. You know what I mean? It's just I said if we get lucky, we're gonna talk about Dogman, Bigfoot, and maybe a couple of paranormal things. But yeah, he covered a lot, dude. Wow, I'm kind of overwhelmed actually. You know what I mean? With all the information that he put out and that he shared with us. Oh wow. I'm blown away just as you guys are. Thank you, Whispers. Have a great night, too. Thank you very much. At Rocks, thank you, man. Appreciate you for coming, brother. Shane, Laura, thank you for coming back because I saw you left for a little bit. Go check on the hubby. Then you came back. Thank you, Laura. Thank you for that. Thank you, everybody. Really. Yes, I know. Thank you, Whisper Stevie. Thank you very much. Good night. Good night. And yeah, man. Well, with that being said, guys, that's why I stayed on a little longer after he left because, man, I'm still stoked that he was here tonight and gave us all the information that he gave us. Right? How crazy is that? But yeah, okay. Well, guys, I don't have a my next show set just yet, but when I do, I'll gladly let y'all know. I'll put it up on on the Facebook group and let y'all know. But I have a couple of people that I need to talk to and see if I can book them on certain dates or whatever. But But yeah, I'll get with y'all on that, and I'll let y'all know as soon as I know. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Nighthawk, thank you for being here tonight, brother. Thank you. Thank you very much, Nighthawk. And Tamara, thank you for joining in tonight. Todd, everybody, man, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Well, I'll see you guys on the next one, okay? Y'all be good. Y'all stay safe. And have a good life. Basically, I'll see y'all on the next one, man. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Peace out. Carlito is signing out. Thank you. Thank you for everybody for being here tonight. See y'all on the next one.